Chapter 48-79. Damn it, I won't let you off. Thunder God's Blade. The Thunder God Sage was completely enraged. He unleashed a peerless blade that contained terrifying destructive power. Boom. Lin Xian unleashed the six-path fist and punched forward, shattering the Thunder God's blade. The Thunder God Sage's body was also penetrated by the punch. He fell from the sky. His face was pale, and his eyes were filled with despair. Was the difference that big? He was an expert of the Dragon Palace, but he couldn't even block a punch from Lin Xian. Lin Xian stomped his opponent into a bloody mist. His soul was once again locked onto by the spring and autumn cycle. After 10,000 years of despair, he died. The surrounding people were stunned. They couldn't believe it. The experts they brought were terrifying. The four of them attacked together, but they couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. Instead, they were instantly suppressed. What kind of power was this? Let's kill him together. At this moment, another middle-aged man walked out and shouted coldly. There were many experts of the blue race beside him. Their bodies emitted terrifying ice. Ice sealed heaven and earth. People of the blue race. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. That person gritted his teeth. That's right, I'm Lan Zilu's father. You dare to kill Zilu? Today I'll send you to hell to apologize to Zilu. That's right, you don't have to live anymore. Another powerful figure walked out. An expert of the wind dragons. His huge wings were like dark clouds that could destroy heaven and earth. Behind him, there were also experts of the dragons. There was no need to hold back against him. Take out all your ultimate techniques. The wind dragon said coldly. He felt that the other party was strange, and wanted to end the battle quickly. Hearing this, the experts of the wind dragons nodded. They roared at the sky and condensed their bloodlines. They formed a wind dragon spear. It released a terrifying bloodline suppression. On the other side, the middle-aged man from the blue race laughed. He took out an ice mountain and attacked together. The experts of the blue race behind him focused all their energy on the ice mountain. This was a great sage artifact. It was filled with endless power, and was extremely powerful. With a light wave, heaven and earth were sealed in ice. Let's see how you're going to die this time. The surrounding people all laughed wildly. With a wave of the ice mountain, an earth-shattering power descended. The wind dragon spear was powerful enough to pierce through everything. The two great sage weapons rushed towards Lin Xian, causing the void around Lin Xian to shatter continuously. Even his divine fire was being suppressed. Humph! In the face of such a powerful attack, Lin Xian coldly snorted. With a wave of his hand, the Great Destruction Spear appeared, releasing a destructive aura. The destructive power rushed towards the Wind Dragon Spear. At the same time, he spun his left hand, and a Taiji diagram appeared. Boom boom, the sound of an intense collision rang out. The people from the blue race and the wind dragons laughed coldly. Useless brat, you won't be able to resist at all. They were very confident in their weapons. With a loud bang, the wind dragon spear was sent flying by the Great Destruction. The experts of the Wind Dragon clan also spat out blood. Countless cracks appeared on their bodies. Many of them turned into blood mist and died. Damn it, how is this possible? They were terrified. What kind of weapon is this? Is the weapon formed by their bloodline even more terrifying? On the other side, the people from the blue race also roared in fear. The Taiji diagram spun, breaking apart the heaven and earth. Terrifying yin and yang energy descended. The ice couldn't resist at all. Many people from the blue race were turned into white bones. You want to kill me with just these methods? You're too weak. If you don't have any other methods, I'll send you to hell. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, 9 killing arrays appeared, covering the entire heaven and earth. Lin Xian formed a seal with his palms, and the killing arrays were activated. Terrifying thunder descended from the 9 heavens, turning into thunder dragons that bared their fangs and brandished their claws. The terrifying fire array turned into a fire phoenix that covered the heaven and earth. There was also a poison array, frost array, sword array, and saber array. The 9 killing arrays were activated at the same time. It was powerful to the extreme. In an instant, the people from the Dragon Palace let out miserable cries. Many people were instantly pierced through and torn to pieces. The people from the blue race and the wind dragons were also heavily injured, vomiting blood continuously. Damn it. Wind Dragon's eyes instantly turned red. He hadn't even made a move, and the other party had already thrown out the killing arrays. Quick, activate our arrays. They had been setting up here for so long. How could there not be any killing arrays? In an instant, 24 killing arrays were activated, covering the heaven and earth, sweeping through everything. They blocked Lin Xian's 9 killing arrays. Damn it, these 9 killing arrays were so terrifying. Wind Dragon's face was cold. The number of killing arrays they had was twice as many as the other party, but they were still tied. It was hard to imagine. Kill. He roared, and the people around him rushed over. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With the great destruction in his hand, he attacked powerfully as if he had turned into a demon god. With one attack, the bodies of 7 figures were stretched taut, and their souls were destroyed. Then with another attack, 3 figures were nailed to death in the void. Lin Xian attacked boldly and powerfully. Every time his attack landed, there would be experts who would fall. Damn it, was he the Grim Reaper? How could he be so powerful? The people around him felt their scalps go numb. They didn't dare to move forward. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He would definitely not let these people go. With a stomp of his foot, he rushed forward and charged towards the blue race. If you want to take revenge for Lan Zilu, I'm standing here. Do it. That man was scared out of his wits. Damn it, you dare to touch me? Lin Xian sneered and slapped out, sending the man flying. Half of his face was shattered. Kill him for me. The man roared. The surrounding powerhouses of the blue race roared angrily. World-destroying frost. These people attacked together and used a terrifying ultimate technique. The blue clan was one of the top clans. The world annihilation frost was an ultimate skill created by one of their old ancestors back in the day. This old ancestor was extremely terrifying. He had once conquered all the worlds in the universe. With this technique, he sealed an entire world in ice. All of the living beings in that world had been sealed. This technique became famous in the world from then on. At this moment, with all of them attacking together, they could definitely seal the other party in ice. Crack, crack, crack. Ice appeared on Lin Xian's body. Even the 9 Suns' divine fire was frozen. Half of his body was sealed in ice, and it was spreading to his entire body. Soon his entire body turned into an ice sculpture. The man looked up to the sky and laughed. Ha 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 ha, I'm going to take revenge for Lan Zilu personally. He walked over with the killing sword in his hand. Before the killing sword landed, the ice in front of him started to change. The ice sculpture shattered, and cracks appeared on its surface. It spread like a spider. Then it scattered on the ground. Lin Xian walked out and grabbed the other party's head with one hand. If you want to take revenge, do it in your next life. He waved his hand and twisted the other party's head off. Pooh! Blood dyed the 9 heavens. No. The eyes of the blue race members were red as they charged over. Lin Xian waved his yin-yang image and enveloped more than 10 figures. Chapter 4880. Lin Xian struck out forcefully and killed all of them. A sea of blood spread, and the surrounding people went crazy. At this moment, a piercing light came over, and 3 killing swords quickly pierced through. These were the 3 experts of the Wind Dragon clan. They merged with the wind and were extremely fast. 3 sharp blades slashed at Lin Xian's vital points. An earth-shattering sound rang out. Lin Xian was pushed back, and cracks appeared on his body. The 3 of them were overjoyed. Great, they took advantage of the other party's injury to kill him. However, in the next moment, they retreated in horror. They found that Lin Xian's cracked body recovered in an instant. Not only did his aura not weaken, but it became stronger. Lin Xian launched a thunder strike, and the great destruction spear enveloped the 3 of them. The 3 of them screamed and turned into a bloody mist. Only 3 broken blades fell from the sky. Next, Lin Xian killed his way into the wind dragons and attacked crazily. The powerhouses of the wind dragons fell one after another. The wind dragon was finally angry. Kid, you deserve to die. Senior, please help. The wind dragon respectfully asked for help from the void. The void broke open, and a few figures walked out. One of them was a human with a cold aura. It was an old man with his hands behind his back. His eyes were like lightning, forming a sea of lightning. "Young man, you're no match for us at all." The great sage of the older generation? In the great sage tower, Lu Yuan and the others' expressions changed. They didn't care about these people at all. That was because they believed in Lin Xian's strength. These people couldn't threaten Lin Xian. But now that the great sage of the older generation had appeared, the situation was probably not good. Sure enough, the great sage waved his hand, and the surrounding killing arrays kept shattering. Then he pointed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian felt a huge pressure. It surged towards him. The surrounding void shattered continuously, and even his body started to sway. This old man was a little scary. His strength was equivalent to the fifth elders. This was not the end. After him, another old man walked out. His strength was not weak at all. This old man was covered in flames. It was actually a fire crow. The two veteran great sage struck out and tore apart the 9 killing formations brought by Lin Xian. Lin Xian was also knocked back by the scepter and spat out a mouthful of blood. Cracks appeared on his body, but they were quickly repaired by the immortality art. Seeing this, Feng Long burst into laughter. "Kid, do you see this? This is the foundation of our dragon palace. We can summon many powerful great sage at any time. Can you do it? Now, obediently kneel on the ground and kowtow, waiting for me to deal with you. If I'm in a good mood, I can leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death." The surrounding people sneered again. They felt that Lin Xian was dead for sure. Taoist Hoya shouted coldly, "I heard that you have the arrogant mad god behind you. Where is he? Tell him to come out. I'll suppress him." "Mad god? Lin Wudi, you can't even withstand a single blow." The other great sage sneered as well. The two of them walked forward like gods and demons. Everywhere they passed, heaven and earth would collapse. "I've said that no one who strikes today will leave alive. Since you two old farts are willing to strike, I'll fulfill your wish." The two great sage were stunned. The fire crow great sage laughed. "Kid, do you think this is the True Path sect? In the True Path sect, we can't do anything to you. But here, if you die, no one will know that we killed you. We can strike without hesitation." "Without hesitation, huh? That's great, because I don't want others to know about some of my trump cards." Lin Xian sneered. Then he waved his hand and 5 spirit conversion arrays flew out. They entered the ground and began to convert the energy of heaven and earth. "Not good, this kid is going to use his trump card." The surrounding people of Dragon Palace felt the change in the ground, and their expressions changed. However, the two great sage sneered. "Don't worry, with the two of us here, he can't hurt you no matter how many tricks he has." The two of them attacked again and enveloped Lin Xian. In an instant, the place was turned into a black hole. Even the starlight of the universe scattered in. Seeing this scene, the two great sages laughed complacently. Wind Dragon also snorted coldly. "I thought Lin Wudi was very powerful, but it turns out that he is just an ant. Let's see who dares to go against Dragon Palace in the future." The fire crow Taoist frowned. "Is he dead? What a pity. I heard that this kid has the 9 Yang divine body. I wanted to capture him and ask about the secret of the 9 Yang divine body." The other great sage said, "Don't worry, as long as a trace of his soul is left, I have the means to ask." He formed a seal with his palm and many soul chains flew out, trying to suppress the broken soul. Boom. However, at this moment, a sword light flashed and broke the soul chains. Not only that, half of the great sage's body was split open and turned into a blood mist. He screamed and retreated. "Who dares to sneak attack me? He's crazy." The fire crow sage's pupils shrank. The others were even more shocked. "Is Mad God here? So what if he's here?" The fire crow Taoist roared. The flames on his body were monstrous and turned into thousands of crows, sweeping in all directions. Every one of them was a peerless divine ability that could destroy everything. "Mad God, come out. Let me suppress you," he roared. Buzz. No one answered him. The only answer he got was a sword. The peerless sword split the flames in the sky. The fire crow Taoist's pupils shrank. He felt a fatal danger and quickly retreated. However, one of his arms turned into a blood mist, and couldn't be restored. Puff. The fire-toothed great sage dodged the attack, but the surrounding people of Dragon Palace didn't. Hundreds of figures were turned into a bloody mist by this sword, their bodies and souls extinguished. Damn it, who the hell are you? The two great sage roared crazily. Even the wind dragon was terrified. Didn't you want to kill me? You don't even know who I am? A sneer sounded. Lin Xian walked out with the dragon sword in his hand. How is that possible? It's you? The two great sage were shocked. The wind dragon also exclaimed. It's not Mad God, it's Lin Xian. Lin Xian has such power. Is this a joke? Damn it, what's that dragon sword in his hand? Is it in front of me? But why is it so powerful? Could it be a legendary saint weapon? They didn't know. However, at this moment, the ground under their feet shattered. A few spirit veins dried up and fell apart. Wind Dragon sucked in a breath of cold air. What was going on? Even if they set up a formation, it's impossible to use up the energy of the spirit veins so quickly. The fire pressure great sage exclaimed. I know, he entered the formation just now and is crazily absorbing energy. He relied on this energy to be able to use his trump card. Chapter 48-81. Kid, we've already discovered your secret. You'll definitely die next. Wind Dragon roared. Lin Xian snorted coldly. So what if they found out? A dead man won't reveal my secret. As he said that, he slashed out again. The ground below shattered. Another spirit vein shattered into pieces, losing all of its energy. The great sage's pupils constricted. How terrifying was that? One had to know that setting up more than 20 top-notch killing arrays didn't consume much energy, but now, a single sword consumed a supreme-grade spirit vein. What kind of sword is that? Retreat. He retreated frantically, but he realized that he couldn't escape at all. Damn it, block it. Waving the scepter in his hand, he ignited the laws as if he had turned into a peerless divine beast. It was extremely powerful. Its power had increased to the limit, and it was almost close to the mid-stage Sage King. However, it was useless. With a single sword, his body began to crack, and with a bang, he turned into a mist of blood. With a single sword, his heart and soul were destroyed. Is he dead? Wind Dragon's pupils constricted. The other great sage's eyelids twitched wildly. It's too terrifying. Run. However, Lin Xian slashed out again. On the ground below, the spirit vein shattered again. No. You can't kill me. The great sage still wanted to say something, but under this sword, his body and soul were completely destroyed. Kill. The long sword swept across, and the people around him fell one after another. I hate it. Why does he have such a trump card? The people around him roared crazily. Wind Dragon also went crazy and quickly dodged. They had originally set up a trap to kill the other party, but who would have thought that this trap would trap them instead? Now none of them could escape. Instead, they were mercilessly killed by the other party. Boom. In the end, the surrounding figures fell, and only 3 figures were still standing there. One of them was Wind Dragon, and the other 2 were also top geniuses. Their faces were filled with despair. They had set up this inescapable trap, and were confident that they could kill a powerful existence in the mid-stage of the Great Sage. But now they couldn't do anything to the other party. Crack. The surrounding mountains kept shattering, the ground cracked, and the supreme-grade spirit vein was torn apart. Lin Xian frowned slightly. On the other side, Feng Long was overjoyed. This was great. All the spirit veins had been destroyed. This brat had no more strength left. They laughed complacently. Brat, without that sword, how are you going to fight us? They felt like they had seen hope. Although most of the people had died, only the 3 of them had survived. But so what? As long as he could kill the other party and obtain the sword, he would be able to kill the other party. All the losses were more than enough to make up for. Lin Xian laughed. It was too early for them to be happy. Even without the great dragon sword spirit, killing all of them would be as easy as flipping his hand. Furthermore, none of you are worthy of me using the great dragon sword. What? Great dragon sword? The legendary great dragon sword? Feng Long's pupils shrank as he cried out in alarm. No wonder it was so powerful. This brat actually had such a treasure. You don't deserve such a treasure. It should belong to the Dragon Prince. The three of them roared crazily. Let's go and inform the Dragon Prince. Let the Dragon Prince kill him. Only an existence like the Crown Prince would be able to use such a supreme divine sword. Moreover, the Dragon Prince could kill the brat in front of them with just a finger. The three of them wanted to retreat. Lin Xian sneered. You want to leave? Can you leave? With a wave of his hand, endless black vortexes appeared around them, swallowing the heavens and the earth, blocking their path. Damn it, Feng Long said that he couldn't use the great dragon sword spirit. If we kill him, we can do it too. If we have the power of the great dragon sword, our future achievements won't be inferior to the Dragon Prince. The eyes of the three of them turned red. Attack. The two of them instantly rushed over, but Feng Long quickly retreated. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. Six-path fist. Demonic light. Taiji diagram. Lin Xian used 3 ultimate techniques in a row to fight against the two experts. The two of them vomited blood and were sent flying. Their bodies were shattered, and their eyes were filled with despair. Why didn't Feng Long attack? Lin Xian sneered. How could he not know that he had been used as a knife by others? Damn it, I hate it. They realized that Feng Long had already escaped. The two of them had been tricked by him. Do you want to escape? Lin Xian snorted. A pair of yin-yang wings appeared on his back. He used the skywalk step, and his speed was extremely fast. Feng Long was still sneering. With the power of his wind and the two of them blocking him, he could definitely escape. Sure enough, he broke through the defense line and escaped outside. However, when he turned around, he saw a figure following him closely. Where are you going? Lin Xian snorted. Not good. Feng Long stopped, dumbfounded. How could the other party's speed keep up with him? One had to know that he was extremely confident in his speed. In his opinion, other than the top geniuses of the Light Clan, no one could compete with him in speed. But now, the other party was not inferior to him at all. If you have any last words, leave them. Lin Xian looked at the other party and said coldly. Feng Long gritted his teeth. Damn it, he didn't attack. Instead, he knelt on the ground with a plop. Young Master Lin, please spare me. I had no choice but to be defeated. It's the Dragon Prince. The Dragon Prince said that he wants to kill you. What can I do? I can only follow his orders. He kept kowtowing. Please spare my life. You had no choice? Lin Xian sneered. While kowtowing, Feng Long's eyes were cold. In his opinion, the other party had been deceived by him. He suddenly looked up. Go to hell. Wind Shadowthorn. 2 rays of light, formed by the dragon horns, tore through everything like peerless weapons, and attacked Lin Xian's heart and head. Lin Xian sneered and dodged in an instant. At the same time he kicked out. Feng Long raised his hand to block. With a clang he was forced back. His arm was numb. The dragon horn transformed into a wind thorn, which was held in his hand. Boy, do you really dare to kill me? Don't you see that only a few of your companions are left? There are a few others in other places. If you kill me, your companions will die without a doubt. If you let me go now, I promise to let bygones be bygones. Our previous grudges can also be resolved. How about it? No. Lin Xian shook his head. I've said it before. If you attack my friends, all of you will die. What did you say? Feng Long was angry. Don't you care about the life and death of your friends? Aren't you afraid that we will attack? Lin Xian laughed. You think too highly of yourself. You underestimate me too much. I want to save my friends. There's no need to go through so much trouble. There are some ways. So, you can go to hell in peace. Lin Xian waved the Great Destruction Spear and charged forward. It was like a black dragon breaking through the 9 heavens. Feng Long was completely angry and roared. He waved the wind thorns and fought. After 3 moves he was beaten back. Damn it, how could he be so strong? Chapter 48-82. The wind dragon's bloodline erupted, and dragon shadows circled the world. It was truly terrifying. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You want to have my bloodline? What a joke. He used his 10,000 dragon divine blood, and dragon shadows appeared one after another behind him. There was a terrifying Tyrannosaurus Rex, a sword dragon roaring at the sky, and a lightning dragon soaring in the 9 heavens. A fire dragon destroying all directions. One dragon shadow after another swept across the world. The wind dragon kept retreating, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. His face was filled with shock. This is impossible. How can the other party summon so many dragon shadows? Damn it, what bloodline is this? Why haven't I seen it before? Who exactly are you? He roared crazily. However, Lin Xian sneered, and the great destruction in his hand kept attacking. The wind dragon's body was shattered, and only his head was left. No, you can't kill me. You still have a few companions in my hands. If you kill me, they won't live. Lin Xian sneered and pierced through the wind dragon's head. He grabbed the wind dragon's soul, and used his heavenly secret divine eyes to collect it. Soon he snorted coldly and threw the soul into the heaven-devouring jar. It was constantly destroyed and turned into nothingness. With a wave of his hand, the great sage pagoda was retracted, and Lu Yuan and the other two walked out. When they saw the mountains of corpses and seas of blood around them, they were shocked. Then they sneered. Good kill, these people are too despicable. Thank you, boss, for taking revenge for us. They were very emotional. Lin Xian nodded. No one can bully us. Lu Yuan, the 3 of you clean up the battlefield here. Take away all the storage rings of these people that can be used. Also, seal the heads of the wind dragon and the others for me. Lin Xian instructed. Lu Yuan nodded. Yu Ren said, Boss, what about the others in their hands? Lin Xian said, Leave this to me. After saying that, he soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Indeed, Fu Hongye and the toad were still in the other party's hands. The wind dragon was right about that. However, Lin Xian didn't care. He had already obtained information from the wind dragon's soul. Now that he knew the location, he was preparing to head there. In the canyon, Fu Hongyu and the toad were also chained up and injured. The toad roared. Damn it! Once I get out of here, I'll tear you all to pieces. A man from the dragon palace sneered as he stepped on the toad. You toad, do you still want to make a comeback? You're all dead for sure, and that Lin Xian won't be able to live either. The toad was enraged and roared crazily. Hongye's expression was cold as well. Little Uncle Master would definitely not lose. Ignorant. An older great sage walked over. With our lineup, even a great sage would die without a doubt. Furthermore, we've already scouted Mad God's whereabouts. He won't appear at all, so you're all dead for sure. Damn it! Fu Hongye roared. The people of Dragon Palace laughed. However, at this moment, a figure descended from the sky. Someone was coming. The great sage stopped laughing, and the others were also on guard. When they saw that person, they heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out to be young Master Wind Dragon. The great sage said with a smile. Wind Dragon nodded and looked around. Where is he? Of course, this wasn't the real Wind Dragon. The real Wind Dragon had been killed by Lin Xian. This was Little White's Wind Dragon. Little White had eaten the transformation fruit before, and could transform into various forms. That was why Lin Xian wasn't worried. Here. These 2 guys are stubborn. I've already taught them a lesson. Feng Long left. When he saw that Fu Hongye and the toad were both injured, a cold glint appeared in his eyes. Then he said, Let them go. This wasn't good. What if the 2 of them ran away? Wind Dragon laughed. With so many people here, how could they run away? In addition, gather everyone here. We're leaving. Where is young master going? These people didn't have any doubts. After all, the other party's dragon chi was monstrous and the law of wind filled the air, so it was impossible to fake it. Aren't you asking too many questions? Wind Dragon's face darkened. There are some things that only the core members know. Don't you believe me? Of course not. The powerhouses of the Dragon Palace shook their heads. The great sage also waved his hand and let out a long howl, beginning to gather. Soon, those who were hiding in the dark also came out one after another. Could it be that these people want to deal with young Uncle Master together? Fu Hongye's face was ugly. The toad roared. If you have the guts, let me go. I'll slap you to death. He stared at Wind Dragon. Wind Dragon smiled and ignored him. He turned around and stared at the old great sage. With a wave of his hand, he took out a gourd. Do you know what this is? The old great sage was stunned. Then he shook his head. Wind Dragon's mouth curled up into a smile. Baby, please turn around. As his voice fell, the purple gourd turned around. A sword light soared into the sky and directly slashed the old great sage. The old great sage didn't even have time to scream before he died. Damn it, what's going on? Wind Dragon, are you crazy? How dare you attack your own people? Roars sounded one after another. Wind Dragon laughed out loud. Then his body bloomed with light and turned into a little monkey. Yeah, you're all bad people. Damn it, what's going on? Who are you? The powerhouses of the Dragon Palace were dumbfounded. Wasn't he Wind Dragon? Why did he turn into a dead monkey? Oh no, we've been tricked. It's not Wind Dragon. He's the monkey beside Lin Xian. Someone had seen him before and immediately roared. Fu Hongye and the dark red dragon's eyes also lit up. Was Little White here? Lin Xian must be here too. The next moment, a figure flew down from the sky. Do you still want to escape? All of you stay here. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the sky-devouring jar formed a terrifying vortex, sealing the surroundings. It's Lin Xian. Kill him. The powerhouses of the Dragon Palace roared crazily. Die. Lin Xian waved his hand, and 3 spirit-transferring arrays were cast into the ground. In an instant, all the energy of the spirit veins under the ground was transferred to the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul flew out, and every attack was like a resurrected dragon. With one attack, half of the dragons died instantly. Oh no, he has a peerless treasure. Run. The others roared crazily. There was even a veteran great sage who opened the sky with his palms to resist the black vortex. She wanted to escape. How could Lin Xian let her leave? Another 2 swords fell, destroying everything. The surrounding sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The energy of the spirit veins instantly dried up and fell apart. The spirit transferring arrays were also shattered. How terrifying. This was the Great Dragon Sword Soul. Hongye and Hongye were shocked. One had to know how terrifying the energy here was, but now they were all killed by 3 swords. No one was left alive. Of course, the Great Dragon Sword Soul required a terrifying amount of energy. 3 swords made all the spiritual energy in this world disappear. Even the Great Sage's energy would have dried up long ago. Chapter 4883. Kid, you're finally here. You should have let me kill them. The toad roared. Lin Xian took out a king medicine from the sword world, split it into 2, and gave it to the 2 of them to eat. After the 2 of them ate it, their injuries would heal and they would recover. The toad's eyes lit up. Damn, kid. Where did you get this treasure? Even Fu Hongye was shocked. Could this be a 10,000-year-old elixir? It was too extravagant. Lin Xian shook his head. He would never be stingy with his own people. He said that he would kill everyone who tried to attack him today. Lu Yuan and the rest were also saved by me. However, this matter is not over. I will destroy the Dragon Palace one day. That's right, I will fight them to the death. The toad gritted its teeth and roared. The 3 of them cleaned up the battlefield and put away the undamaged storage rings. Then, they left to meet up with Lu Yuan and the rest. Lin Xian summoned the Void Beast and opened a space tunnel. The group quietly returned to the Divine Abode. The Divine Abode was anxiously waiting. I wonder how Lin Xian is doing? Bai Susu said. The dark red dragon frowned as well. Why don't we send someone to take a look? Bai Susu nodded. Anyway, the Dao sect has become very lively. They probably don't have time to care. Indeed, the Dao sect's grand meeting would begin in 3 days. Now many experts from all over the Dao sect had rushed over. The people of the Dragon Palace were also busy preparing, so they really didn't have much energy to pay attention to them. Just as they were about to head over, a space vortex appeared in the Divine Abode. Then a few figures walked out. Great, they're back. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this scene. The dark red dragon also hurriedly flew over. How are you? Are you all right? They were all very nervous. Lin Xian walked out and said, We're all back safely. The toad roared. I'm so angry. Lu Yuan and the rest also said that they were injured and that their lives were not in danger. However, it was a pity for the other brothers. Indeed, besides them, There were more than 20 geniuses from the Divine Union who had been following them this time. However, they had all died in battle. Bai Susu clenched his fists. He would definitely take revenge. The dark red dragon said, "That's right. They will pay with their blood. This must be repaid. Everyone still needs to improve their strength. In addition, we must pay attention to not fall into the trap of the Dragon Palace in the future." Everyone nodded. Lin Xian asked, "Susu, why are there so many people outside?" He realized that there were too many people from the Dao sect. There were even some people from other clans and sections. Bai Susu asked, "Didn't I tell you about the Daoist sect's grand meeting? It would open in 3 days. These people were all here to congratulate him." Lin Xian nodded. "Get ready. When the time comes, the Divine Union will also make an appearance." The Sanctuary Alliance had never experienced such a grand occasion since its establishment. Hence, they had to show off in this grand occasion. He wanted to let everyone know that the Divine Union would not have any problems even if the Dragon Palace tried to suppress them. Everyone began to make preparations. The entire Dao sect was bustling with activity. Not many people knew about what had happened in the Divine Union. Over at Dragon Palace's side, the Dragon Prince didn't care. In his opinion, with so many experts slapping away, the other party was dead for sure. What he wanted to do was to display his skills at the grand meeting, catch the attention of some patriarch, and enter the core area. That way, he would obtain more resources from the world. Although he was the Dragon Prince, his halo had always been suppressed by the Dragon Prince. When people mentioned the Dragon Palace, or even the dragons, the first person they thought of was not him, but the Dragon Prince. Only then would they think of him. As a genius, how could he be willing to accept this? Hence, he had to display his strength. Lan Ziyu didn't think so much. She was most concerned about whether Lin Xian was dead or not. However, there had been no news from the Wind Dragon, which made her nervous. Could something have happened? In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. Tomorrow was the day of the grand meeting. Why wasn't he back yet? The Dragon Prince said, "Don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow." Lan Ziyu was nervous. Finally, the 3rd day arrived. On this day, multicolored lights danced in the Dao sect. The great Dao descended, creating a celestial scene. At the same time, countless figures appeared. These people were outstanding, and their auras were piercingly cold. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. The grand meeting of the Dao sect was held once every 10 years. The main purpose was for the patriarch to come and see if there were any top geniuses. If there were, he would choose 1 or 2 to be his disciples. He would use the core strength of the Dao sect to nurture them. He would strive to nurture the next Dragon Prince. The disciples of the Dao sect gathered. Among them, the most dazzling was naturally the Dragon Palace. "Look, the people of the Dragon Palace are here." Countless disciples of the Dao sect looked at the vast number of people in front of them with envy. The one walking at the front was naturally the Dragon Prince. They wondered if the Dragon Prince would appear this time. Yes, would they be able to see the Emperor's glory? If the Dragon Prince were to appear, he would definitely be sitting with the elders. His status had long surpassed that of the younger disciples. As soon as he said that, everyone nodded. Someone said, "I've received news that the Dragon Prince probably won't appear. He is now challenging the sacred Abyss Tower for power. After all, his goal is to be crowned. He doesn't care about anything else." Although the Dragon Prince isn't coming, the Dragon Prince is also terrifying. I think that in the Dao sect, other than Long Huangzi, the Dragon Prince is the most eye-catching. He is also someone who has hopes of standing at the peak in the future. However, does he want to be crowned? It might be difficult. However, it won't be a problem to become the number 1 person after the Dragon Prince. Everyone was talking about it. Some people said that it couldn't be. There should be another person. Are you talking about that Lin Xian? Yes, he established the Divine Union forcefully back then, and went against the Dragon Palace. It was said that he even killed the Dragon Prince's clone. He should also be very powerful. As soon as this was said, someone else nodded. Someone said, "But that guy is very mysterious. They haven't seen him for a long time. After the life and death battle with Yi Chun, he has been in seclusion and hasn't come out. I wonder how he is now. Has his injury recovered? Hearing this, someone from the Dragon Palace sneered. What Lin Wudi? There will be no such person from now on. You don't have to look forward to it. After saying that, he turned and left. What was going on? The other disciples of the Dao sect were shocked. There would be no Lin Xian from now on? Could it be that he had fallen? That was impossible. Yes, that was right. Lan Ziyu also clenched his fist. From now on, Lin Xian was history. There would be no such person in this world. Won't appear? Who do you think you are? Do you think you are a prophet? That you can predict everything? At that moment, a mocking voice was heard. Countless people were shocked. Who dared to challenge the Dragon Palace? The people from the Dragon Palace were also furious. Do you have a death wish? Step out and I'll send you to hell. Chapter 4884. It's you. The people from Dragon Palace were stunned. Lan Ziyu's pupils constricted. He exclaimed, "You're not dead." Toad sneered. What? Are you surprised that I'm still alive? Could it be that you're secretly attacking me? Do you think I'm dead? Fu Hongya walked out and said, So it was your Dragon Palace who secretly tried to kill us during the mission. Now he finally found his enemy. Countless people were in an uproar. The people from Dragon Palace were also shocked. Lan Ziyu said, Are you kidding? How could we attack you? Don't talk nonsense. Nonsense? Lu Yuan snorted. Then why are you so afraid when you see us? And you say we're not dead? You obviously know something. Do you want me to inform the elders of the Law Enforcement Hall to take you away for interrogation? Lan Ziyu was so scared that his face turned pale. The other people from Dragon Palace were also shocked. They realized that not only were Toad and the others not dead, but the people from before were also not dead. More importantly, they saw Lin Xian. Damn it, this guy is also alive. Lin Xian walked out and sneered. Why? Are you surprised? Lan Ziyu was so shocked that he couldn't speak. What's going on? Didn't Wind Dragon and the others succeed? Why is Lin Xian still alive? And the people who were suppressed before were also rescued. Did their plan fail? The Dragon Prince frowned. What's going on? Where are Wind Dragon and the others? He used the voice transmission token, but there was no response. This gave him a bad premonition. Lan Ziyu panicked and quickly sent a voice transmission to his father, but there was also no response. What's going on? Did something really happen? She didn't dare to imagine. Nothing will happen. The Dragon Prince snorted. It's very likely that they didn't catch this kid and felt that they would be punished when they came back, so they hid outside for a while. Although the mission failed, the Dragon Prince didn't believe that those people would die. They were countless experts. Let's go, attend the ceremony first, and then deal with this kid. The Dragon Prince looked coldly at Lin Xian and the others and snorted. He turned and walked forward. There were many people in the square, and there were many buildings and palaces around them. There was a huge hall in front of them, and it was very terrifying. Dao Palace. This was a very important palace. Only extremely powerful people, or people with extraordinary statuses, were allowed to enter. The people of Dragon Palace took their seats around the square. The Dragon Crown Prince walked towards the Palace of the Path and quickly entered. The surrounding people were envious. Very few of the younger generation could enter, and the Dragon Crown Prince was one of them. Someone looked at Lin Xian and shook his head slightly. Although this guy claimed to be able to fight against the Dragon Crown Prince, he was still far from it. The Dragon Crown Prince could enter the Palace of Dao, but the other party had no chance at all. Those from the Dragon Palace also sneered. Boy, you want to fight with us? The difference was too great. Let's go to the Dao Palace first. In my opinion, he can forget about entering in this lifetime, because he is not qualified at all. Cold laughter could be heard one after another. Bai Susu and the others had gloomy expressions on their faces. It was truly too difficult to enter the Dao Palace. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was completely unperturbed. When he heard the mockery, he laughed coldly. So what if it was the Dao Palace? My goal isn't here. My goal is to reach the peak of the Sacred Abyss Tower. When they heard this, the surrounding people were stunned. The people from the Dragon Palace also laughed heartily. You want to reach the peak of the sacred abyss tower? Who do you think you are? Are you a prince? You are overestimating yourself. The surrounding people also shook their heads and sighed. Lin Xian was a little overconfident. One had to know that the only person who had reached the peak was Kuan Pengzi. Even the Dragon Prince was a little lacking. However, given enough time, he would definitely be able to reach it. Besides these two princes, it was impossible for anyone else to reach the peak. Lin Xian snorted coldly and remained unmoved. How could these people understand his path? Next, Lin Xian led the people from the Divine Union to a hall on the side of the plaza and sat down. More and more people arrived at the plaza. There were even some people who weren't from the Path sect, but from other clans and sects who came to congratulate him. There was an endless stream of people who came to congratulate the Dragon Crown Prince and the Dragon Palace. The people from the Dragon Palace were very pleased. Did you see that? There are many forces in the Path sect, but they are the only overlords. Kid, did you see that? This is the power of the Dragon Palace. We have countless sects and clans. What are you going to use to fight us? In the hall beside them, the people from the Dragon Palace sneered. Lin Xian replied faintly that he had seen it. However, that was all. In the face of absolute power, everything else was futile. Only by being strong oneself could one be truly strong. Lin Xian understood this very well. He had been able to annihilate so many experts from the Dragon Palace alone, because of his own strength. Furthermore, it was said that the Emperor Lord back then could destroy millions of worlds with a single palm. How majestic was that? So what if one had a strong background? One couldn't even defeat a single finger of the Emperor Lord. If Lin Xian could become the Emperor Lord, he wouldn't have to worry about not having enough clans to bow to him. What an arrogant brat. The people from the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. There were already many people around, but the patriarchs of the Path sect hadn't arrived yet. They would probably arrive at the last moment. At this moment, some people from the big clans arrived. The leader of the Blue clan had arrived. A loud shout shocked countless people as they turned their heads to look. The Blue clan was one of the top clans and was very famous. The leader of the Blue clan had arrived personally. The leader strode over with a group of people. He looked like an old man. The icy aura on his body was abnormally terrifying. It formed an icy battle robe that was extraordinarily mighty. Greetings, senior. Along the way, the surrounding people bowed to him. Lan Ziyu also stood up and greeted the leader. Lan Ziyu, the leader of the Blue clan, nodded with a smile. How have you been? Has your strength improved? Thank you for your concern. My strength has improved. Lan Ziyu smiled. At the side, Bing Ling furrowed her brows. The previous leader wouldn't have such a good attitude towards Lan Ziyu. One had to know that she was the #1 genius of the clan. But now, her limelight was completely suppressed by Lan Ziyu and the clan. It had only been a few days. She couldn't believe it. Later, she found out that Lan Ziyu's status changed because he became the Dao companion of the Dragon Prince. This made Bing Ling very disdainful. The leader of the Blue clan didn't think so. The Dragon Prince was the top figure in the Dragon Palace, second only to the Dragon Prince. He was also the son of the Dragon Sea Master. Such a person's status was too high, far higher than Lan Ziyu's. Even Bing Ling couldn't compare to him. To be able to form an alliance with such a person was a great honor for the Blue clan. Therefore, he was naturally happy. Chapter 48-85. Lan Ziyu nodded and walked towards the Dao Palace with the clan leader of the Blue tribe. Inside the Dao Palace, a few people were seated. The youngest one was the Dragon Prince. When the clan leader of the Blue tribe arrived, he smiled at the others and said, "Greetings, my friends." The other elites nodded in agreement. The clan leader of the Blue tribe came to the side of the Dragon Prince and said, "Greetings, Dragon Prince." Long Ao smiled. "Senior Lan is too polite. You are a senior. Isn't it too much for you to bow to me like this?" The clan leader of the Blue tribe said. "Others can't, but the Dragon Prince deserves it." "You are too polite. Clan leader of the Blue tribe, please take a seat." The Dragon Prince invited the clan leader of the Blue tribe in, and the two of them sat down to chat. When the people of the Dragon Palace saw this, they were delighted. They looked at Lin Xian and sneered. Did you see that? The clan leader of the blue tribe is very respectful to our prince. Can you do it? The wind dragons have arrived. Another shout was heard. The clan leader of the wind dragons arrived with his elites. Then he went in to greet the dragon prince. Uncle Dragon, are you still so polite to me? Long Ao smiled and said, please. Both of them were from the dragons. Naturally, they had a close relationship. The Sky Blade Mansion Master has arrived. The clan leader of the Golden Armor tribe. Powerful figures arrived one after another. They were all invited into the Dao Palace. Then, they congratulated the Dragon Prince. In an instant, Long Ao was surrounded by many powerful figures. These were the clan leaders, sect leaders, and alliance leaders. Many of them were from the remote antiquity families. Even the weakest of them was a top family. In an instant, Long Ao was in the limelight. He even overshadowed the older generation figures, and became the focus of everyone's attention. The people of the Dragon Palace were naturally pleased. Even the Dragon Prince was so powerful, let alone the Dragon Prince. There was no need for the Dragon Prince to do anything. The Dragon Prince alone could sweep everything away. The Divine Union? What a joke. Many people were disdainful of the Divine Union. The others were also discussing it. It seemed like the Dragon Palace was indeed terrifying. Not everyone could challenge them. The Dragon Palace in the Divine Union was like the sky and the earth. The difference was too great. The members of the Divine Union also gasped. Although they weren't convinced, the other party had made such a big scene. Baisusu gritted her teeth. Damn it, she didn't expect the other party to do something like this. Are they trying to attack us? If we had known earlier, we would have asked some of the family heads to come as well. Baisusu could also recruit a group of people. Even the talented members of the Divine Union had families behind them. However, compared to the other party, he seemed a little weak. After all, the Blue Clan and the Wind Dragons were all top clans. There were even clans of the ancients among them. Lin Xian said with a smile. No matter, the best part was yet to come. How could he not be prepared? He had already sent invitations to his previous allies. He thought that those people would respond very soon. At this moment, Lan Ziyu had also returned to the palace. He looked at Lin Xian and the others and sneered. It was true that one was powerful, but sometimes, one's foundation and background were enough to overwhelm everything else. Her eyes were filled with coldness. The Crimson Divine Dragon and the others gritted their teeth. Just as they were about to retort, another voice rang out. The Nalan family has arrived. Here it comes. The people of the Divine Union heaved a sigh of relief. Nalan Liang also smiled. The current family head was his grandfather. Naturally, he would come to their side. As expected, Nalan led his family over to Lin Xian's side. Congratulations, young Master Lin. Although the Nalan family wasn't a clan of the ancients, it was still a top clan. Furthermore, it was very young. With strength, it might go even further in the future. Now that the Nalan family head had come to congratulate Lin Xian, many people were shocked. The faces of the people of the Dragon Palace darkened. Was the Nalan family courting death? It seemed like they had to take some measures to suppress this family, and let them know who was in charge here. Lan Ziyu snorted. The Nalan family was nothing to be afraid of. Furthermore, this was because of Nalan Liang. Otherwise, why would the Nalan family stand on Lin Xian's side? The Dugu family has arrived. Another loud voice rang out. The people of the Dugu family strode over. This group of people had metal swords on their backs. Their auras were surging. When they appeared together, they brought with them an austere aura. Countless people looked up. Many people stood up to greet them. Old Master Dugu strode over with Dugu Xiao Yi and the rest. Hello everyone. Old Master Dugu kept waving his hand. He walked to the side of the hall. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. Who is Old Man Dugu going to meet? The people of the Dragon Palace were also surprised. Lan Ziyu smiled. He must be here to meet us. Although we don't have much contact with the Dugu family, we have the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Crown Prince. They will come over obediently. Hearing this, the people of the Dragon Palace nodded. Fairy Ziyu, please receive them. Lan Ziyu stood up. Her status was not ordinary now. She was the cultivation companion of the Dragon Crown Prince. Her status in the Dragon Palace was very high. Therefore, she stood up and walked forward with a beautiful smile. It turned out to be Senior Dugu. Senior Dugu, please. The surrounding people were in an uproar when they saw this scene. Even the Dugu family was on the side of the Dragon Palace. It seemed that the Dragon Palace today was even more terrifying than before. But soon, the surrounding people were stunned. Lan Ziyu was also stunned. The smile on her face froze and became very ugly. The people of the Dragon Palace were even more stunned. They couldn't believe it. Old Master Dugu ignored Lan Ziyu and went directly to the side of the hall. Greetings, young Master Lin. This old man is here to congratulate young Master Lin. The Dugu family is here to meet Lin Xian. What's going on? Exclamations were heard. The people of the Dragon Palace were stunned. What a joke. When did Lin Xian become so powerful? When did he get together with the Dugu family? Lan Ziyu's face was even uglier. She turned her head with a trace of coldness in her eyes. She saw that old Master Dugu was very respectful to Lin Xian. It didn't seem like he was pretending at all. Senior Dugu is too polite. Lin Xian nodded with a smile. This was even more shocking. One must know that the Dugu family was also a top family. Old Master Dugu was the patriarch. When you saw him, you had to quickly stand up and be respectful. But now Lin Xian just nodded. What kind of attitude was this? Even the Dragon Crown Prince didn't dare to do this. This was the attitude that only the Dragon Crown Prince should have. But now, it appeared in Lin Xian. This guy is courting death. I'm afraid I'll lose an ally. The people of the Dragon Palace sneered. Lan Ziyu also snorted. However, he didn't appear. Old Master Dugu didn't have any dissatisfaction. Instead, he said to the people beside him, "Why aren't you greeting young Master Lin?" Chapter 48-86. The people of the Divine Union were also stunned. Bai Susu was even more surprised. Lin Xian actually had such a connection with the Dugu family? It was really hard to believe. The others were in an uproar. It seemed like Lin Xian was prepared. It was no wonder that he dared to compete with the Dragon Palace. Some people also said that the Nalan family and the Dugu family were not bad. However, they were still weak compared to the Dragon Palace. Indeed. How many experts were there beside the Dragon Prince in the Dao Palace? Lin Xian only had 2 experts beside him. They were not enough to be feared. The people of the Dragon Palace also regained their composure and sneered. I want to see how big of a storm you can stir up. Xiaoyi, hurry up and give young Master Lin a congratulatory gift. Old Master Dugu said to Dugu Xiaoyi. Dugu Xiaoyi nodded and walked out to greet young Master Lin. With a smile, she flipped her hand and took out a treasure box. There were 3 leaves inside. What was this? The surrounding people were stunned. Lan Ziyu and the people of the Dragon Palace sneered. This was a trap for that kid. They were all watching a good show. The people of the Divine Union were also confused. Lin Xian's pupils constricted, and he took a deep breath. Then he waved his hand, causing the 3 leaves to appear in his hand. Many thanks to Senior Dugu. Lin Xian was too happy. The 3 leaves contained a terrifying sword aura. Old Master Dugu said, "It's good that young master likes it." These are the 3 sword leaves left behind by the top swordsman of the Dugu family 30,000 years ago. They contain the supreme sword Dao, and are now given to young master. What? Something left behind by the Dugu sword demon? Hearing this, the surrounding people were stunned. Then they all gasped. The Dugu sword demon was incredible. Back then, he had led the Dugu family to the peak. Back then, the Dugu family was not afraid of the remote antiquity family. Besides the remote antiquity family, who had emperor weapons, no one was a match for the Dugu family. In that era, the Dugu sword demon had swept through everything with his iron sword. How could something left behind by him be weak? In an instant, countless people exclaimed. The eyes of the Dragon Palace people turned red. Damn it! What was going on? The Dugu clan had actually taken out such a good item. At the side, Nalanda also smiled. Look, I forgot that I also prepared something for young master. I hope that young master can accept this world core. The reason why the 8th elder, Nalanda, was able to become the clan leader was all because of Lin Xian. That was why he had given Nalando a world. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise again. The people of Dragon Palace were mad with anger. Damn it, how could this kid have such good luck? On the other hand, the people from the Divine Union were extremely excited. This was great. Did they see that? They were not without foundation. The Divine Union was elated, following which, more and more powerhouses arrived. At that moment, a voice was heard and resounded throughout the area. The fire dragons had arrived. They were fire dragons. Many people cried out in alarm. This was also one of the dragons. Its strength was extremely terrifying. Inside the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince's lips curled into a smile. Although the matter between the Nalan family and the Dugu family had caused him to frown, it was still not enough. But so what? The two families stood on the side of the Divine Union, and still could not contend with the Dragon Palace. Obviously, the fire dragons had come to congratulate him. He sat there with a confident smile on his face. The fire dragons were led by the fire dragoness, who was followed by many powerhouses. She did not go to the Dao Palace. Instead, she walked directly to the side of the plaza. The fire dragon's clan leader was in seclusion. It seemed like he had sent his daughter over. Many people were discussing this. In that case, it was understandable that the other party did not go to the Dao Palace directly. After all, he was just a young man. However, everyone guessed that the other party was definitely on the side of the Dragon Palace. Everything else aside, they were all dragons. This made everyone know that the other party would definitely fight the Dragon Prince. The people of the Dragon Palace were excited once again. Lan Ziyu stood up and said, "Sister Dragoness, you are here." The fire dragoness glanced at him. Was this the Dragon Prince's cultivation partner? He did not seem like much. She thought to herself. However, she remained expressionless and nodded slightly as a greeting. This stunned Lan Ziyu. What was the meaning of this? Was she being ignored? Or was he looking down on her? The people of the Dragon Palace also frowned. At this moment, another figure stood up. This man was wearing dark armor and had an extraordinary aura. His name was Nangu, a top prodigy of the Black Dragon clan. If Lan Ziyu did not have enough face, then it should not be a problem for him to come out. His status was not inferior to the Wind Dragons at all. In fact, he was even stronger. Long time no see, Dragoness. Nangu greeted her. He was also acquainted with the other party. However, the Fire Dragoness only nodded. She had no intention of coming in. Instead, she walked to the palace next to her. Greetings, young Master Lin. The surrounding people were stunned. She was here for Lin Xian? How was that possible? She was from the Fire Dragon clan. Shouldn't she be on the Dragon Palace's side? The people of the Dragon Palace were stunned. Nangu's expression was ugly as he stood there in a daze. In the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince's expression darkened. The wine cup in his hand also turned into powder with a crack. The dragons did not dare to come. Instead, they went to see Lin Xian. This made him very angry. Was this a slap to his face? The Fire Dragon race was truly courting death. However, the Fire Dragoness did not care about the gazes of others. She went to Lin Xian's side and began to congratulate him. She waved her hand and took out a jade bottle. This was 2 bottles of Fire Dragon Divine Liquid. I hope you don't mind. The surrounding people were stunned. This was the treasure of the Fire Dragon clan. Usually, it would not be passed on. However, it was given to Lin Xian. And 2 bottles. The dragoness was too polite. Please take a seat. Lin Xian gestured. Bai Susu smiled and took it. Then she invited the dragoness and the others to take a seat. The people of the Divine Union were still in disbelief. They had not expected the Fire Dragon clan to stand on their side. Then they laughed. Toad jumped out and walked to the Dragon Palace. Hey, does your face hurt? The dark red divine dragon snorted. I think some people are too arrogant. Do they really think they can cover the sky with one hand? Damn it. Nangu gritted his teeth. The people of the Dragon Palace were so angry that they vomited blood. In the Dao Palace, the leader of the Blue Clan said with a frown. Lin Xian was so powerful. What did he do to the Fire Dragon clan? Whatever it was, I will make the Fire Dragons pay the price. The Dragon Prince's expression was cold. Hhis words carried a trace of killing intent. The leader of the Blue Clan and the others' eyes flickered. It looked like someone was going to be unlucky. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, could he really go against the Dragon Palace? They shook their heads and sneered. Chapter 4887. Long Ao was furious, and the people of the Dragon Palace were gritting their teeth. They had been slapped in the face. Everyone else was talking about it. It seemed that Lin Xian had really gathered a group of allies to fight against the Dragon Palace. However, it seemed that it was not enough. Even with the addition of the fire dragons, it seemed that it was not enough. The only thing they could do was to slap the Dragon Palace in the face. However, it would be very dangerous in the future. At that moment, a loud voice was heard in the distance. The Yi clan of the ancients had arrived. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard that. The Yi clan was not an ordinary clan of the ancients. It was an emperor clan, and they had extreme weapons. They were definitely top-notch. They were a true overlord. Did the Yi clan come too? Many people were shocked. Some people gasped. That was not right. Yi Wudao, the genius of the Yi clan, was cultivating in the heavenly sect. Why would he come to the path sect? Everyone could not understand. Perhaps it was because Yi Wudao was in the celestial sect, but Yi Wudao was a member of the Blue Clan. You should know that the heavenly sect has another emperor clan member, Kunpengzi. His family was also an emperor clan, the Kuanping clan. His background was not weaker than Yi Wudao's. However, Yi Wudao's talent was more powerful. Yi Wudao had the sacred body of the ancients, while Kunpengzi was a true emperor clan member. The gap between the two was still very big. With Kunpengzi around, Yi Wudao would only be second no matter how strong he was. I guess the Yi clan is here to join forces with the Dragon Prince. The two emperor clans belong to different orthodoxies. If they joined forces, they would suppress Kunpengzi. This way, it would be beneficial to both the Dragon Prince and Yi Wudao. As soon as that was said, everyone else nodded. That was indeed the case. After thinking about it, they felt that it was the only reasonable explanation. The Dragon Prince was doing his best to challenge the Holy Gulf Tower. Now that he was not here, should they inform him? The Wind Dragon's clan leader asked. However, the Dragon Prince said that the Dragon Prince did not allow anyone to disturb him. Let's go. As the second in command of the Dragon Palace, the Dragon Prince had infinite confidence that he could definitely represent the Dragon Palace. Alright, we are willing to follow. The Blue Clan leader stood up, and so did the Wind Dragon's clan leader. The Lord of the Sky Knife Manor behind them. They all followed the Dragon Prince and walked outside. At the center of the square, there was a group of people. The people from the Yi clan had arrived, and the one leading them was the great elder of the Yi clan. Next to him was the young Yi Wudao, and behind him were a few experts from the Yi clan. Wherever they passed, the people around them greeted them. Greetings, Senior Yi. Young noble Wudao was becoming more and more powerful. In response to such greetings, Leaf Dao Denier and the Grand Elder simply nodded. After all, these people couldn't even be mentioned in the same breath as them. The others didn't dare to get angry because the two sides weren't on the same level. Even on the buried Emperor Star, the Yi family is one of the top families. The other clans of the remote antiquity were slightly inferior. Greetings, fellow Taoists of the Yi family. At this moment, a group of people walked towards them. The one leading them was the Dragon Crown Prince. The Wind Clan's clan head, the Blue Clan's clan head, and the Heavenly Saber Manor's clan head cupped their fists and greeted Xiao Qin. The members of the Yi family stopped, and the Great Elder nodded slightly. The Dragon Crown Prince smiled and walked over to greet the Yi family senior. This must be Brother Wudao, right? As expected, he was even more extraordinary than the rumors. The Dragon Crown Prince is too courteous. Leaf Daudinier smiled. Long Ao said that the Dragon Prince was in seclusion to break through the Holy Gulf Tower, so he couldn't leave. Therefore, I represent the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace to welcome the Yi family senior. I hope Elder Yi won't take offense. Please. He made a gesture of invitation. The surrounding people exclaimed. Heavens, is the Dragon Palace going to join forces with the Yi family? This is too inconceivable. This way, The Dragon Palace would be even more terrifying. Who would be a match for the Dragon Palace? Previously, the Dragon Palace had a terrifying background. Not only did they have the support of the elders, but more importantly, the Dragon Prince had the backing of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. That was an emperor clan. Now with the addition of the Yi family, that was 2 emperor clans. Even the Kunlun sect would have to back down. The members of the Dragon Palace stood up excitedly. Lan Ziyu Nangu and the others laughed. They stared at Lin Xian, their eyes emitting a cold radiance. Brat, the Dragon Palace is getting stronger. Let's see how you die. The others also shook their heads and sighed. This time, Lin Xian was really unlucky. He had kicked an iron plate. Yes, he still wanted to contend with the Dragon Palace. This time it was completely impossible. The expressions of the Divine Union members changed drastically. They felt a huge pressure. Beside them, the members of the Dugu family, Nalan family, and Fire Dragon family looked solemn. Nalanda and Old Man Dugu did not regret it. Nalanda's position was given to him by Lin Xian. Old Man Dugu's life was saved by Lin Xian. The 2 of them stood firmly by Lin Xian's side. On the other hand, the people of the Fire Dragons looked gloomy. They did not agree previously. However, the Fire Dragon lady was stubborn and they could not stand on Lin Xian's side. Now, it seemed that they had completely offended the Dragon Palace. In the future, the Fire Dragons would be in danger if the Dragon Palace punished them. Toad, Dark Red Divine Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others had strange expressions. Soon they sneered. The Dragon Palace and the Yi family joining forces? What a joke. Let's see who kicked an iron plate. They knew the relationship between Yi Wudao and Lin Xian. At the thought of this, the Dark Red Divine Dragon and the others sneered. Ahead. The Yi family Grand Elder also smiled. The Dragon Prince was too polite. Everyone knew that the Dragon Prince was in seclusion to be crowned king. And this time, we're not here to look for the Dragon Prince. Not here to look for the Dragon Prince? The surrounding people were stunned. Even the Dragon Prince was stunned. Who was it? Could it be that they were looking for him? Were they looking at him? Because he was the same as Yi Wudao. They both had the ancient body and a powerful background. However, he was not the first person. Did Yi Wudao want to join forces with him? If so, it was not impossible. He was very excited. However, Yi Wudao did smile. He said, "We're here to congratulate Brother Lin." Brother Lin? Hearing this, the Dragon Prince was stunned. The smile on his face froze. The leaders of the Blue Clan, the Dragon Clan, and the others were also stunned. The others were in an uproar as they discussed madly. Who was Brother Lin? Who could be so important to the Yi family? Was there anyone with the surname Lin among the top experts of the Dao sect? There was one called Lin Jiutian. It couldn't be him. Countless voices sounded. On the Xian ranking, there was a person called Lin Jiutian who was also very strong. However, was it worth the Yi family to mobilize so many people? Could it be that Lin Jiutian had a relationship with the Yi family that they did not know? Thinking of this, everyone felt even better. The Dragon Crown Prince's face darkened. He wasn't here for him or the Dragon Prince. Damn it, that Lin Jiutian was so lucky. Chapter 4888. Lin Xian. Hearing this name, the surrounding people were stunned. The smile on the Dragon Prince's face disappeared instantly. His eyes widened in disbelief. Lin Xian? Which Lin Xian? He asked quickly. The leaders of the Blue Tribe and Wind Dragons were stunned as well. Could it be the Lin Xian they knew? What kind of joke was this? How could that kid be related to the Emperor clan? The others were also discussing this. Was it the Lin Xian from the Divine Union? That was impossible. Where did he get that kind of face? Leaf Daudinier smiled but didn't say anything. Instead, he headed toward one of the halls off to the side. Yi Wudao smiled. Brother Lin, we meet again. Wudao, you're too polite. You didn't even greet me when you came. Lin Xian stood up and walked over with a smile. The two of them chatted happily. It was obvious that they were old friends. Everyone was dumbfounded. The Yi family Grand Elder walked over. Lin Xian didn't dare to be careless. He cupped his fists and smiled. Greetings, seniors of the Yi family. The Yi family Grand Elder's eyes shone brightly. Young Master Lin was indeed extraordinary. Your physique seems to have become stronger than before. Lin Xian had the 9-yang divine body, so the Yi family naturally paid attention to him. Originally, they thought that Lin Xian's cultivation was weaker than Yi Wudao's. Although the 9-yang divine body was extraordinary, Lin Xian didn't have the support of the Emperor clan. Yi Wudao was different. Yi Wudao had a saint body and the full support of his family. His cultivation speed was frightening. But now it seemed that this wasn't the case. Lin Xian didn't fall behind. Instead, he was on par with Yi Wudao. The two of them stood there like two young gods of war. This shocked the Yi family grand elder. Lin Xian was definitely not simple. He probably had more trump cards than they thought. It was Leaf Dao Denier who had requested to meet with Lin Xian. After much discussion, the Leaf clan agreed. The elders of the Yi clan were very pleased to have an ally like Lin Xian on their side, which would be very beneficial for Leaf Dao Denier. After all, although their Yi family was an imperial clan, they were not the only imperial clan. On the buried emperor star, there were quite a few emperor clans. Some of them could even threaten Yi Wudao. Therefore the Yi family also needed allies. "Senior, you flatter me," Lin Xian said with a smile. After chatting with the seniors of the Yi clan for a while, they nodded in agreement. "Wudao, you stay here. We're going to the palace of Dao." Given the status of the great elder of the Yi family and the others, it was likely that the Dao sect elders would not be willing to stay with Lin Xian. Thus, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, the Yi clan's elders and the others went to the Dao palace. As for Leaf Dao Denier, he remained with Lin Xian. Leaf Dao Denier was the Yi clan's holy body, and he had shown everyone that the Yi clan was on Lin Xian's side. The surrounding people went crazy. The people from the Dragon Palace did not dare to believe it. Their expressions became unsightly. If it was said that they did not care about the Nalan clan or the Dugu clan before, the current Yi clan was different. This was an imperial clan. An imperial clan was equivalent to a group of clans on their side. Lin Xian actually had the ability to contend with the Dragon Palace. Damn it! They clenched their teeth so hard that they broke. Lan Ziyu's face was pale. The wine cup in his hand fell to the ground and shattered. How was this possible? She had gone crazy. Every time, she was immensely pleased with herself, thinking that she could trample the other party under her feet and never let him rise again. But every time, her foot would step on air, and the other party would jump high and slap her. Previously on the battlefield, the other party had shocked everyone with a single feat and displayed great strength. She could only look up to him. Now, with the Dragon Crown Prince as her backer, she thought that she could look down on him. But the other party actually knew an imperial clan. Was she going to have to look up to him again? She did not want to feel this way again. The Dragon Crown Prince's face was even uglier. He had come full of confidence, but in the end he was ignored. Damn it, he wished he could run away now. His face darkened as he turned and strode towards the Dao Palace. The Wind Dragon's elder, the Blue Clan leader, and the Sky Saber Mansion master also lowered their heads. They were extremely embarrassed. The people from the True Path sect were in an uproar. This Lin Xian was not simple. Now, it seemed that he was indeed qualified to contend with the Dragon Palace. The people from the Divine Union were in high spirits. They were extremely excited every time. That was an imperial clan. This was great. Who would dare to look down on them? The Toad and the Dark Red Divine Dragon came out and mocked the people from the Dragon Palace. A few people from the Dragon Palace vomited blood and fainted. Nalanda and Old Master Dugu were also shocked. Young Master Lin was indeed unfathomable. The Fire Dragon's elder was also shocked. Previously, they were indeed unhappy with the actions of the Fire Dragon Princess. After all, this might offend the Dragon Palace and even the Dragon Prince. However, they were relieved now. With the Yi family around, the Divine Union's foundation had also become stronger. Previously, no one was optimistic about Lin Xian and the Divine Union. They thought that the other party was courting death. However, the situation had completely changed now. Everyone was talking about Lin Xian's god. It was as though they had forgotten about the Dragon Palace. In such an atmosphere, half a day passed. The people from the Dragon Palace could not wait to escape. The Dragon Crown Prince closed his eyes and did not say a word. The atmosphere was strange. At this moment, a loud voice rang out from outside. Thunder boomed 9 times and turned into a thunder dragon. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had arrived. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty had arrived. Countless people exclaimed. This was also an imperial clan. Moreover, it was a dragon. Countless people were shocked. They had not expected to see 2 imperial clans today. In the Dao Palace, the Dragon Prince opened his eyes, which emitted a piercing light. They had waited. Previously, they had been suppressed. He had been waiting. Only the elites from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty would be able to contend with the Yi family. Now they had finally arrived. He took large strides and walked outside. The Wind Dragon's clan leader took a deep breath and hurried to follow. The clan leader of the Blue Tribe, the Sky Saber Mansion Master, and the others moved out once again. Greetings, seniors. The Dragon Crown Prince was unusually excited. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty were powerful, and their bloodlines were terrifying. Their appearance caused the surrounding people to turn pale. It was as though their bloodlines were about to freeze. The Dragon Prince had not come out of seclusion yet? The leading man asked coldly. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty only had eyes for the Dragon Prince. Although Long Ao was the Dragon Sea Crown Prince, they still did not take him seriously. Long Ao did not dare to be careless. His expression became respectful. Third Uncle Long, the Dragon Prince is still in seclusion in the Sacred Origin Tower. Seniors, please. The Dragon Crown Prince carefully invited the people from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty into the Dao Palace. The people from the Dragon Palace heaved a sigh of relief and gritted their teeth. So what if the Divine Union had the Yi family? The Dragon Palace had the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. The Dragon Prince was from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Chapter 4889. What was supposed to be a grand event of the Dao sect had now turned into a battle between the Dragon Palace and the Divine Union. It was really surprising. Of course, the crowd did not mind. They were all very excited. It was really rare to see such a battle. All sorts of big shots were emerging. Even the Emperor race had come. Who knew how things would develop next? Everyone was looking forward to it. Following which, more people arrived. Many of them were here to congratulate the Dragon Palace. This allowed the Dragon Palace to turn the tables. The people of the Dragon Palace regained their hope. Some people said that the Dragon Palace had a lot of trump cards. The older, the wiser. At this moment, a series of reports came from afar. Taiching Ancient City, Pill Cauldron Sect sent gifts. Mount Eternal and the Hall of Eternal Life sent gifts. Mount Eternal, Fire God Palace, sent gifts. Ancient Desolation Gu Family sent gifts. Mountain Sea Palace sent gifts. Six Path Sect sent gifts. A series of voices rang out, causing an uproar. These were all top sects and emperor race like the Gu family. Countless people were shocked. The elders of the Dao sect arrived one after another. For example, the Levitation Saint and the others. When they heard the news, they were also very happy. It seemed like the Dao sect was getting stronger and stronger. The Yi family, Thousand Dragon Court, and Gu family, the 3 emperor races, came together. This was very rare in the orthodoxy. After all, Yi Wudao was from the Sky sect and Gu Feng was from the Earth sect. It was really rare for them to gather together. Soon a group of people walked in. Some of them were covered in flames, some were cold, and some had a mysterious spatial aura. Pill Cauldron Sect, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao across the 4 seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish young Master Lin a bright future. Longevity Hall, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao across the 4 seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish young Master Lin a bright future. Fire God Palace, Zhu Dao Sect, spread your Dao across the 4 seas. I wish the Divine Union a bright future. I wish young Master Lin a bright future. Gu Family, Mountain Sea Palace, Six Path Sect. Congratulations. A loud voice rang out. One of the congratulatory gifts was given to the Dao sect, and the other to the Divine Union. The surrounding people were stunned. What was going on? These people were not only here to congratulate the Dao sect, but also to support the Divine Union. It was too unbelievable. The people of the Divine Union were stunned. Were they dreaming? Happiness had come too suddenly. The people of Dragon Palace were shocked, and so was the Dragon Crown Prince. These families and sects were not from the Holy Abyss ancient city. Even the Dragon Palace could not gather them. But now Lin Xian had done it. Damn it, how did he do it? The Dragon Prince couldn't believe it. After hearing about this, the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people's expressions darkened. Was there anyone who dared to compete with the Dragon Palace? That Lin Xian didn't know the difference between life and death. Previously, they were disdainful of him, but now, their faces were filled with shock. From the looks of it, this opponent was not simple. The Dao sect's elders also cried out in alarm and began to discuss. This was not the first time they had heard of the name Lin Xian. They had known about it before, but when they found out that the other party had the immortal burial physique, many of them gave up. But now, it seemed that this was not necessarily the case. The Levitation Saint's lips curled into a smile. Judging from the situation, the Divine Union wasn't any weaker than the Dragon Palace. In fact, they might even be stronger. This way, when the Patriarch arrived, he could use this opportunity to suggest that the Patriarch accept Lin Xian as a disciple and allow Lin Xian to enter the core area. The Levitation Saint took a deep breath and began to look forward to it. The atmosphere had reached its peak. Lin Xian's limelight was unparalleled. Even the Dragon Palace had been suppressed. The untethered Six Paths and the others who had come to deliver gifts first went to the Dao Palace, then went to pay their respects to Lin Xian before leaving. At this moment, another voice was heard. Mad God had arrived. The moment this voice was heard, countless people went into an uproar. Mad God. This name was like thunder to their ears. Recently, he had risen like a comet in the ancient city. First, he had reached the 1000th place on the Saint Plains leaderboard. Then he had single-handedly wiped out the Nalan family's 5th Elders faction. Then he had gone to the Sky Ascension sect and fought with the Sky Sect's elder. He had killed the other party and left calmly. Every single one of his achievements was shocking. Now was he also coming? The people of the Divine Union were extremely excited. In their opinion, this was their biggest backer. However, the dark red Divine Dragon and the others had strange expressions. They were actually looking forward to it. This was because they knew that Lin Xian was Mad God. This time, it was only a nomological law clone that had come. There was going to be a good show to watch. They knew the situation and were extremely excited at this moment. The faces of the people from the Dragon Palace sank. The Dragon Prince also snorted coldly. Mad God? This time he should be here to support Lin Xian. So what? No matter how powerful the other party was, he was only ranked 1000th on the Saint Origin leaderboard. Their Dragon Prince was ranked 2nd. The difference between the two was too great. Countless people looked forward. They saw a demonic figure walk over. He was wearing a black robe and was surrounded by demonic chi. It was impossible to see his face clearly. The figure came to the square and waved his hand, taking out a gift box. I'm here to congratulate the Path sect. There were 3 stalks of 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs in the gift box. The people from the Path sect received it with a smile. Mad God, greetings. Please take a seat. Mad God said, I have a gift for the Dragon Palace. Everyone was stunned. They had thought that Mad God would support Lin Xian. Why did he have a gift for the Dragon Palace? The Dragon Prince was also stunned. Then he laughed heartily. It seemed like Mad God had been intimidated by the reputation of the Dragon Prince. Now he wanted to rely on them? Good. They could use this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Divine Union. The Dragon Prince waved his hand in anticipation when the gift was presented. The others were also stunned. Even the people from the Divine Union were stunned. The demonic figure waved his hand, and more than 10 gift boxes appeared again. On the Dragon Palace's side, Lan Ziyu, Nangu, and the other powerhouses walked out and brought the gift boxes to the Path Palace. There were so many things. Was he really planning to rely on them? The Dragon Prince was too happy. The people from the 1000 Dragon Court also opened the gift boxes proudly. Lan Ziyu, Nangu, and the others opened the gift boxes and everyone's eyes widened. They wanted to see what kind of rare treasures were in the gift boxes. However, they were stunned in the next moment. Some of them even screamed in pain. No. Lan Ziyu fainted immediately. Nangu's pupils shrank. His hands trembled, and the gift boxes fell to the ground. A human head rolled out with blood on its face. What was going on? The surrounding people exclaimed. The gift boxes were filled with human heads. The people from the Path Palace were also stunned. The Dragon Prince's pupils shrank. He recognized one of the heads at a glance. Wasn't that the head of the Wind Dragon? Damn it! How could this be? The Wind Dragon spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was frighteningly dark. Had the top genius of the Wind Dragons been killed? Damn it! The Blue Tribe Patriarch also roared. They had discovered that the head in Lan Ziyu's gift box was Lan Ziyu's father. It was no wonder that Lan Ziyu had fainted. In addition, the Golden Crow tribe and the other powerhouses of the Dragon Palace had all been killed. Chapter 4890. Baisusu was shocked. Wasn't this the group of people who attacked them? That's great, they've finally fallen. The people of the Divine Union also started cheering excitedly. These people deserved it. The surrounding people also understood what was going on. This wasn't a gift for the Dragon Palace. It was obviously revenge for the Divine Union. Damn it, you're courting death. The Wind Dragon's leader shouted angrily. The Wind Dragon was his grandson. How could he not be angry now that he had fallen? He threw out a palm strike that turned into a shocking sword that slashed down from the sky. Boom. That demonic godlike figure was split into two. Then, it turned into demonic chi and dissipated in all directions. At the same time, a voice was heard saying that the gift had been delivered, and that he was leaving. Damn it. It was a law clone. The Wind Dragon's leader gritted his teeth. Crown Prince, please avenge us. Yes, he had to capture the other party and tear him to pieces. The people of the Blue Tribe were also shouting crazily. Lan Ziyu had already woken up. She ran to the Dragon Crown Prince, and said that the Crown Prince had to capture Mad God and not let him off. And the Divine Union. Lin Xian. Send all of them to hell. At this moment, the Dragon Palace was filled with killing intent. The Levitation Saint shouted coldly. How dare you? Lin Xian was a disciple of the True Path sect. All of you belong to the same sect. How dare you try to kill a fellow disciple? Are you trying to violate the sect's rules? The other elders also frowned. Forget it if you want to capture Mad God. Even if you want to deal with Lin Xian, you should do it quietly. But now you're saying this in front of so many experts. You're throwing away the face of your ancestor. Sure enough, an elder snorted coldly. You're too arrogant. How dare you? Is this a place where you can come? Leave quickly. Lan Ziyu and the others' blood was boiling and their faces were pale. They also knew that they had said something wrong and lowered their heads. However, they were unwilling to accept this. Long Ao took a deep breath and said, You guys can leave first. We won't let Mad God off. He wasn't stupid. He wouldn't say that he would attack Lin Xian tomorrow. He would only target Mad God. However, deep down, he was filled with killing intent towards the entire Divine Union. He had to annihilate the entire Divine Union. This matter spread out in an instant, and countless people were in an uproar. The entire ancient city was alarmed. After all, countless pairs of eyes were paying attention to something like the Tao meeting. Sacred Abyss Tower. In a large hall, Ocean Abyss Divine General looked at the message in his hand and was shocked. Mad God had appeared again. It was just a law clone. Divine General Yun Gu said. Didn't you tell him to come over? The Ocean Abyss Divine General shook his head and smiled. Yes, he did. But with his personality, he probably had no qualms about it. I think he has already forgotten about it. The Divine Generals shook their heads and sighed. The Divine General of the Sea Abyss said that it wasn't like that. Since he had stood up for Lin Xian so many times, their relationship was definitely not ordinary. Even if we can't find Mad God, can't we find Lin Xian? Find Lin Xian and ask him to help us pass on the message. When the time comes, Mad God will appear. The moment he said that, the other Divine Generals nodded. Divine General Yun Gu also smiled. That's great. Let's go take a look at the Tao sect meeting. Thinking about it, those fellows should be going as well. The divine generals turned into streams of light and left the sacred abyss tower. The Tao sect had come from all directions to congratulate them. Outside, there were war chariots everywhere. It was a spectacular sight. Inside, the atmosphere was strange. The previous scene had really alarmed them. The Dragon Palace's face was gloomy as he gritted his teeth. Some of the Tao sect's elders' eyes flickered with killing intent. One had to know that the majority of the Tao sect's people favored the Dragon Prince. Therefore, these elders also supported the Dragon Palace. Now that the Dragon Palace had been suppressed to such an extent, they were naturally shocked and displeased. Some elders said, "This mad god is too arrogant. He actually dared to kill our geniuses in our Tao sect meeting and act in such a manner. He is simply looking down on us. I suggest that we immediately take action and suppress him." That's right. Many elders nodded in agreement. They were all on the side of the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace. The moment these words were spoken, the people outside were shocked. Someone said, "It's over. It seems like the Divine Union is in danger." Others said that Lin Xian was too young. He didn't know how many elders in the Dragon Palace would secretly support him. Now that he had slapped the Dragon Palace in the face, he was going against these elders. Would he have an easy time in the future? The Wind Dragon's leader frowned. That mad god is so mysterious. We don't even know where he is. If he doesn't come out, won't we be unable to take revenge? The Dragon Prince sneered. Mad God doesn't know, but Lin Xian is here. His relationship with Mad God isn't ordinary. The Levitation Saint's expression changed when he heard this. However, the other elders' eyes lit up. The purple-robed elder said, "That's right. Bring Lin Xian here and ask him about his relationship with Mad God. How should he be punished for allowing Mad God to kill his fellow disciples?" No. The Levitation Saint shook his head. Mad God was the one who did it. Why should Lin Xian be implicated? What evidence do you have? Is there a relationship between the two? Besides, so what if there's a relationship? Mad God is an expert of the demon Tao. How could he be controlled by Lin Xian? You're just accusing him. We'll know if he's the one who ordered this. The purple-robed elder snorted coldly. There are guards waiting outside. Elder, what's the matter? The purple-robed elder said, "Bring Lin Xian here. I want to interrogate him." The two Tao guards were clad in battle armor as they strode down the mountain. Soon, they arrived at the main hall and stared at Lin Xian. "Kid, come with us." Chains of laws appeared in their hands, and they were about to shroud Lin Xian. The Divine Union's people's expressions changed instantly. The dark red dragon jumped out and said, "What's the meaning of this? You actually dare to attack him?" The toad also said, "Don't blame me for being impolite if you attack a fellow disciple." The others cried out in alarm. Lin Xian had overshadowed the Dragon Prince previously. However, no one expected that the Tao sect would want to suppress him now. Someone sneered. "Did you see that? This is the consequence of provoking the Dragon Palace." The elders behind the Dragon Palace were enraged. The people from the Dragon Palace also sneered. "Let's see how this kid dies." Lan Ziyu had a sinister expression. She wanted to see Lin Xian fall with her own eyes. Lin Xian also frowned. "You want to suppress me?" One of the guards said, "Kid, you'd better know your place and come with us obediently. Perhaps we can save your face. If you dare to resist, we'll suppress you, tie you up with chains, and take you to the Tao Palace. Choose one." The two guards' voices were sharp and merciless. Why were they arresting him? What was the reason? What did Lin Xian do wrong? Bai Susu shouted coldly. She understood that there were already a few elders who were going to take action. She wondered if her father would be able to handle it. It seemed like the situation wasn't good. If he was really suppressed, it would be dangerous. Chapter 4891. Lin Xian, don't resist. This time, the elder personally asked you to go over. You'd better agree obediently. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Everyone's eyes were on Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as a piercingly cold light appeared in his eyes. Just as he was about to say something, a loud voice came from afar. The divine general of the Sacred Origin Tower had arrived. The moment these words came out, everyone exclaimed again. The divine general was here too? The status of these divine generals was extremely high. Even the Yi family elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's elder raised their brows. The Sacred Origin Tower was very mysterious, and the identities of these divine generals were also very unusual. The Dao Sect's elders also stood up and quickly welcomed them. At this moment, everyone began to move. Even the two guards did not attack again. Instead, they turned their heads to look. Under the gazes of countless people, two figures walked in. It was really the divine general. Many people exclaimed, their eyes turning red. They could only look up to such existences. So it's the divine general, a rare guest. The Dao Sect's elder clenched his fist and smiled. How could we not come to the Dao Sect's grand event? This time, we're here to congratulate the Dao Sect. The moment these words came out, the Dao Sect's elders laughed. Did you see that? Their influence was even more terrifying than before. The other remote antiquity families and peerless sects were envious as well. The Yi family's elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's expert also came forward to greet them. In the face of such existences, the two divine generals did not dare to be careless. They did not expect that even the emperor's fellow Taoists would come. The Yi family's elder said that they were here to congratulate the Dao Sect and at the same time, to see the top geniuses of the Dao Sect. The Dao Sect's disciple Lin Xian has the Nine-Yang divine body and is good friends with our Yi family's Wu Dao. Oh, is that so? Divine General Hyabis smiled. What a coincidence. This time, we're also here to look for Lin Xian. The moment these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. The divine general was also here to look for Lin Xian? They found it unbelievable. Could it be that these two divine generals were also on Lin Xian's side? When they thought of this possibility, they almost fainted. Why? Why was Lin Xian so capable? He had invited so many experts from so many families, and even the emperor clans and divine generals had to stand on his side. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people were stunned. The Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace's people were even more dumbfounded. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Why was the divine general looking for him? Could it be that his identity had been exposed by the other party? While thinking about it, two immortal generals walked towards Lin Xian. Seeing that Lin Xian was still sitting there, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This guy wouldn't be so arrogant even in front of a divine general, right? However, it was still alright. Finally, Lin Xian stood up under everyone's gaze. He smiled and said, "Greetings, senior divine generals." Then he looked at Divine General Haiyuan and said, "Thank you, senior, for your help." "It's you." The Ocean Abyss Divine General was also stunned. Then he smiled and said, "So you are this Lin Xian." Lin Wudi. That's right, the two knew each other. When Lin Xian went to the Sacred Abyss Tower for the first time, he was stopped outside because he didn't have Saint Crystals. Back then, he met a divine general who gave him 10 divine crystals. It was Divine General Haiyuan in front of him. The Ocean Abyss Divine General didn't expect that the other party was such a famous genius when he casually took care of him back then. Wait, he was stunned. He remembered that it was this little guy who went in at the same time as Mad God. It was also the first time he appeared on the Sacred Abyss list. He didn't care before, but now he realized that Lin Xian and Mad God had entered the Sacred Abyss Tower on the same day and were so close. He frowned slightly as a bold idea came to his mind. Could it be that the young man in front of him was Mad God? As soon as this idea came to his mind, even he was shocked. Then he shook his head. That was impossible. If it was really as he guessed, then it was really a big deal. Beside him, Divine General Yun Ge saw that his companion was stunned and asked quietly, "Old friend, what's wrong?" Divine General Haiyuan came back to his senses and said, "Nothing." Young Master Lin was indeed as the rumors said. He was extraordinary. Lin Xian didn't know if the other party had discovered his secret. He could only smile and say, "Senior, you're too polite." He didn't know why these people were looking for him, but he guessed that it must have something to do with Mad God. Therefore, he didn't say anything. "Young man, very good. I have high hopes for you. If you have any difficulties in the future, feel free to tell me. I'll help you." "Thank you, senior." Lin Xian smiled. The faces of those from the Dragon Palace changed. Even the Dao sect elders frowned. At the side, Bai Susu said, "Senior Divine General, there's really something. Someone wants to suppress Lin Xian." Not good. The eyelids of the Dao sect elders twitched. Divine General Haiyuan frowned. What was going on? Who was so bold? Who dared to suppress a genius in the Dao sect? The toad jumped out and said, "It was really strange to say that it was one of them. This was an order given by an elder of the Dao sect. This was an order to kill a genius." Hearing the toad's words, the faces of the surrounding people changed. Dang, this toad really dared to say that. Divine General Haiyuan frowned and asked, "Is there such a thing?" The levitation saint smiled. "I think it's a misunderstanding. Am I right, purple-robed elder?" He looked at the other party. The purple-robed elder's face darkened. How could he refute? Was he supposed to say that it wasn't a misunderstanding? Everyone would probably think that he was suppressing the younger generation. Therefore, he could only smile and say, "Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding. Both of you, back off quickly." The two guards felt their scalps go numb, and they quickly fled. It seemed that no one dared to touch Lin Xian openly. Damn it, the Dragon Prince and the others gritted their teeth. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of those from the Thousand Dragon Court. This person seemed very dangerous, and they had to think of a way to get rid of him. They definitely couldn't allow a potential threat to grow. Just like Long Guang from before. Although he wasn't the Emperor's son, he had threatened the Dragon Prince. Wasn't he still killed by them? They were also capable of sending Lin Xian to hell without anyone noticing. Today, Lin Xian and the divine union that he was in could be said to be in the limelight, causing a storm in all directions. Even the Dao elders didn't dare to act rashly. In an instant, everyone was talking about how the divine union would become even more famous from today onwards and more experts would join. At this moment, the Dao sect's patriarch finally arrived. Everyone looked over. The Dao sect disciples all stood up and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, patriarch." The Dao sect's patriarch was at the peak of the great sage. His aura was unparalleled. His appearance was like the appearance of a god, suppressing everything. Lin Xian felt a chill down his spine, even though he was so far away. This was the peak existence of the great sage. His aura was like the roar of 10,000 dragons. Chapter 4892. Greetings, Lord of the Fantasy World. These were the experts of the remote antiquity families and great sections. The patriarchs also bowed. The fantasy world ancestor had changed the world. She smiled and said, "Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Thank you for participating in the ceremony. 10 years have been like a day. Which geniuses have appeared in the Path sect? Let's wait and see." The fantasy world ancestor sat down, and the elders of the Path sect walked out to preside over the ceremony. The purpose of this grand ceremony was to test which young genius disciples in the past 10 years were able to stand out and catch the eye of the patriarch. It was divided into 3 major battlefields: the Star ranking, Jade ranking, and Xian ranking. Countless people were looking forward to it. Those who could make it onto the Jade ranking were the top existences of the same cultivation level. Those who were not on the Jade ranking had an additional opportunity to challenge them. In short, as long as one had the strength to stand out, this was a very rare opportunity. On Lin Xian's side, many Divine Union disciples took action. Even Fu Hongye, the dark red divine dragon, Bai Susu, and the others took action. It was even more so on the Dragon Palace's side. In an instant, various battles broke out one after another. It was very exciting and breathtaking. The experts of the remote antiquity families and great sects were shocked. The Path sect was indeed worthy of having so many experts. The toad and the dark red divine dragon were stronger than before. Bai Susu was the same. It seemed like she had been nurtured by her father during this period. On the Divine Union's side, their overall strength had increased tremendously, which shocked countless people. In the past, besides the Dragon Palace, there were other powerful forces that were also very scary. However, they seemed to have been surpassed by the Divine Union now. Everyone exclaimed. The Dragon Palace was not weak either. Although they had been suppressed by Lin Xian previously, they still had a strong foundation. At this moment, the experts of the Dragon Palace were mobilized. There were many experts on the star ranking and Xian ranking. There was even an incredible expert, Lan Ziyu. Lan Ziyu had become the Dragon Prince's cultivation partner, so he had more than 10 times more resources than before. Her strength had also improved by leaps and bounds, and she was now in the top 10 of the Jade ranking. The Blue Tribe's patriarch looked at this scene and was very satisfied. Lan Ziyu seemed to have regained his confidence after defeating experts consecutively. Lin Xian looked at him indifferently and then lowered his head to drink his tea. That's right, that's all. This event lasted for many days. During this period, many powerhouses stood out. Of course, the ones that attracted the most attention were 3 people. The first was naturally the Dragon Prince. His strength and talent could be said to be very strong. He was definitely one of the best below the Dragon Prince. Therefore, when he made his move, it shocked everyone. Even the elders nodded their heads continuously. Other than that, they were ranked 2nd and 3rd on the Xian ranking. The first on the Profound ranking, the Dragon Prince, had not appeared. The 2nd and 3rd on the Profound ranking were only slightly weaker than the Dragon Prince. Their strength was naturally shocking. These 2 people were Li Ruolin, who was ranked 2nd on the Profound ranking, and Jiao Wuqing, who was ranked 3rd on the Profound ranking. If one were to ask who was most likely to be accepted as the ancestor's disciple, it would most likely be one of these 3 people. When all the matches were over, everyone was looking forward to it. Especially Li Ruolin, Jiao Wuqing, and Long Ao. The 3 of them were all nervous. They didn't know who would be targeted by the patriarch this time. The elders also seemed to be asking for Fantasy World Ancestors' opinion. The patriarch's eyes flickered as he looked at the 3 of them. Stars flickered in his eyes. The 3 of them were extremely nervous, as if all their secrets had been seen through in an instant. What do you all think? Fantasy World Ancestor did not immediately answer. Instead, he looked at the people around him. An elder said, I think Li Ruolin is a very good person. There were also people who said that Jiao Wuqing's merciless Tao was very terrifying, and that his future was limitless. At this moment, purple-robed Elder Zhang said, Let me see, although the 2 of them are powerful, their future is not as good as Long Ao's. Although Long Hao was not an emperor, he was the top genius of the dragons. He also had the ancient desolate body. What a rare physique. Look at the Yi family's Yi Wu Dao. One could imagine how terrifying Long Ao's future talent would be. I guess the number 1 in the entire Dao is the Dragon Prince, and the number 2 is definitely Long Ao. Therefore, why don't you take Long Ao as your disciple and nurture him carefully? In the future, he will definitely be famous in the 9 heavens. In fact, there might even be another genius who will be crowned as a king. What Purple Robe said was true. There were a few elders around him who kept nodding. It was obvious that they all supported Long Ao. Hearing this, Long Ao's face was filled with pride, but Li Ruolin and Jiao Wuqing's expressions changed. Fantasy World Ancestor's eyes flickered as he looked at Long Ao. At this moment, the Ascension Saint stood up. Senior brother Purple-Robed, your words are wrong. Long Ao is strong, but I don't agree with you saying that he is the number 2 genius of the Tao. I recommend someone to the ancestor. This person's strength and talent are unparalleled. Oh, who is it? The ancestor was interested. Purple-robed, and the others' expressions changed. Was the Ascension Saint going to recommend that brat? The disciple I want to recommend is called Lin Xian. He has not been in the Tao sect for long, but the strength and talent he has displayed are unparalleled. Is that so? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was astonished. Ancestor, please wait a moment. The Ascension Saint turned around and walked out of the hall. He said loudly, Lin Xian, the ancestor wants to see you. When these words were spoken, countless people were in an uproar. No way, could it be that Lin Xian also had the chance to become the ancestor's disciple? Some people's eyes turned red. On the Dragon Palace's side, Nangu, Lan Ziyu and the others gritted their teeth. Why? Why could he do it? The 3 people in the square, Li Ruolin and Wu Qing, were also shocked. The Dragon Crown Prince's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. That's great. Lin Xian, my father recommended you. You have to perform well. In the hall, Bai Susu was very excited. The others also took a deep breath. Lin Xian nodded and walked out, heading forward. Junior Lin Xian greets the ancestor and all the elders. Long Ao snorted coldly. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the hall in front of him. An elder sat there like a god of the sky. In the next moment he was met with a gaze. What kind of gaze was that? It was ancient and filled with the vicissitudes of life. Lin Xian felt as if he was struck by lightning. He felt that all his secrets had been seen through by the other party. What a terrifying gaze. Lin Xian was shocked and quickly retracted his thoughts. At the same time, a golden light gathered in his eyes, and he activated the power in his body. He was shocked. It was too terrifying. The other party was actually an illusion expert. And he should be a top expert. After all, the other party was at the peak of the great sage. You are Lin Xian? Fantasy World Ancestor's voice floated out. It was as if a god was asking. Chapter 4893. That's right, I am. Lin Xian nodded. That's right. Fantasy World Old Ancestor smiled. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. The expressions of the people from Dragon Palace changed. Could it be that the old ancestor favored him? Old ancestor, this Lin Xian seems to be a good person at the moment, but his future is really worrying. It can be said that he has no future at all. What do you mean? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was shocked. The purple-clothed elder said. The old ancestor didn't know that this person was indeed very strong, but he was from the immortal tomb. In history, there were two people from the immortal tomb who were extremely talented, but in the end, they fell and couldn't become the great sage. They couldn't even become a sage king. It was heaven-defying for him to reach this step, but it was impossible for him to take another step forward. He was actually from the immortal tomb. Countless people were shocked. This was the first time some people heard this news. The people from Dragon Palace sneered. How could a person without a future compare to the Dragon Prince? The Feather Saint Lord also frowned. This was indeed Lin Xian's weakness. He couldn't refute it at all. Although he had thought of countless countermeasures, the people from the immortal tomb seemed to have no solution. Was what he said true? Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at the Feather Saint Lord. The Feather Saint Lord had no choice but to nod. Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Lin Xian and shook his head. What a pity. It's over, this kid has no hope. Countless people sighed. The Dragon Prince sneered and said in a low voice, Kid, you're still far from being able to fight with me. At this moment, Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Long Ao and said, From now on, follow me to cultivate. Thank you, Old Ancestor. Long Ao bowed respectfully. He was really too excited. He could finally enter the core area. Currently, his cultivation speed was several times faster than others. Even the top geniuses were 2 to 3 times faster. This was because he had the support of resources from many worlds. If he could become a core disciple, then his cultivation speed would increase. At that time, the others wouldn't be his match. On the side, Li Ruolin and Wu Qing sighed. It seemed like they had no hope. At this moment, an elder spoke. Although the two of them couldn't become the old ancestors' disciples, they could be accepted as disciples. They would also have a chance to enter the core area. This made the two of them happy. The Levitation Saint also wanted to make use of this opportunity to take in Lin Xian as a disciple. This way, Lin Xian would at least be able to enter the core region. The Dragon Crown Prince, who was lacking in resources, wouldn't lose out too much. However, the purple-clothed elder said, Immortal Ascension Elder, I advise you not to waste this spot. He is someone from the immortal tomb and definitely won't be allowed to enter the core area. That's right, he has no future and is not worthy of our nurturing. You're wasting the resources of the Tao by recruiting him as your disciple. The Feather Saint let out a heavy sigh. Lin Xian remained expressionless. So what if he didn't become a core disciple? He had relied on his own efforts to get to where he was now. In his opinion, there was no difference whether he entered or not. If the other party could obtain a huge amount of resources, so could he. As long as he collected more world cores and entered the sword world to cultivate, his speed would not be inferior to anyone's. Fantasy World Ancestor looked at Lin Xian. When he saw Lin Xian, he was expressionless and shocked. To be honest, this young man had surprised him. When he first looked at him, he realized that he was different from the others. When the Dragon Prince and the others met his gaze, they were unable to resist at all. She had instantly seen through the Dragon Prince, and the other two. However, this Lin Xian was different. The other party had a mysterious aura that was resisting him. Although the other party's strength was temporarily unable to contend against him, there was still a trace of mystery to him. He asked, "Are you not convinced?" Lin Xian said he did not dare. He only felt that these elders were too conservative. Conservative? Hearing this, the purple-clothed elder became angry. "Brat, are you doubting us?" His eyes carried a trace of cold light. Lin Xian said, "If you think it's a question, then it's a question. What qualifications do you have to question me? Young man, aren't you a bit too weak?" The purple-clothed elder snorted. Lin Xian raised his head, his eyes filled with determination. "You keep saying that I am from the immortal tomb and have no future. What is your basis?" The purple-clothed elder sneered. "What a joke. Didn't I say it? There were two in history, but neither of them became the great sage, so it's impossible for you." Lin Xian snorted coldly. "I think you're the laughable one. What did you say?" The purple-clothed elder was furious. Fantasy World Ancestor waved his hand to stop him. He looked at Lin Xian again. Lin Xian said, "Because two people didn't do it, you doubt that I can't do it either?" A martial artist's cultivation was originally going against the heavens. Don't you even have the spirit to explore and challenge? So what if it's unprecedented? What others can't do doesn't mean that I can't do it. The light in Lin Xian's eyes became colder and colder. If we have to follow your thoughts, how did the first great emperor appear? What was the first time a human cultivated? Who was it? The first time they could use the laws. These people who created the world, no one could pursue them before. Could it be that they were not going to continue moving forward? Without these people opening up the path, what do you have to cultivate now? Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, one word at a time. The purple-clothed elder's expression turned ugly. How dare he? Lin Xian retracted his gaze and said indifferently, "If you think I'm wrong, you can correct me, but you can use your status as an elder to suppress everything. Isn't that a bit too much of a bully?" As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people began to discuss. Indeed, Lin Xian was right. What a sharp-tongued brat. Those who created the martial Tao were all heaven-defying existences. They were all supreme figures. How could you be compared to them? Whether or not I'm worthy of being compared to them is not something you can comment on. A cold light also appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. Even if there is no path for me, I will walk a path that belongs to me between heaven and earth. As soon as he finished speaking, thunder rumbled between heaven and earth. It seemed to suppress Lin Xian, but also seemed to respond to Lin Xian. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This young man was incredible. Could it be that he wanted to open up a path for himself? How difficult was that? One had to know that even if they followed the path opened up by countless ancestors, it was already as difficult as ascending to the heavens, let alone opening up a new martial Tao. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flashed. He was now more and more certain of Lin Xian's identity. The Yi family people were also shocked. This kid was incredible. If he could break the curse of the immortal tomb people, his future would be limitless. He might even become a great emperor. The Thousand Dragon Court people's expressions became ugly. Even if such a person was cursed, they wouldn't allow him to live. It was too dangerous. If they gave him a chance, he might be able to turn things around. They had to think of a way to get rid of him as soon as possible. What a joke. The Dragon Crown Prince shouted coldly. "Kid, you are too naive." Chapter 4894. In everyone's eyes, Lin Xian seemed to have reached a dead end. However, Lin Xian smiled. He turned his head and stared at the Dragon Crown Prince. "Are you doubting me? Do you dare to fight me?" Long Ao laughed when he heard that. "You want to challenge me? Fine, you killed my incarnation this time. It's time to settle this grudge. I'm not afraid of you. Fortunately, it was your incarnation this time. Otherwise, you would have gone to hell long ago. Lin Xian's eyes emitted an extremely sharp killing intent. Their great Tao laws intertwined and collided. It was as if two divine dragons were fighting between heaven and earth. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Are these two top geniuses going to fight? It was too shocking. They were all excited because regardless of appearance or Lin Xian, they were both top geniuses. The battle between the two of them would definitely be a fierce battle. Nonsense. All of you retreat. An elder snorted coldly. Now that the two top geniuses were fighting, wouldn't that be throwing them to the finish line? The purple-clothed elder smiled. It didn't matter. This event was originally to select geniuses, and now both of them were called geniuses. Then who was stronger and who was weaker would be known later. The other experts nodded in agreement. The experts of the nest of 10,000 dragons also spoke. We also want to see what a top battle is like. What do you think? Fantasy World Ancestor looked at the Levitation Saint Lord. The Levitation Saint Lord took a deep breath and followed the ancestor's decision. He didn't stop him because he felt that Lin Xian should be able to contend against Long Ao. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't lose too badly. This way he could show his strength. Perhaps the ancestor would change his mind. Fantasy World Ancestor retracted his gaze. He understood and looked at the two people in front of him. Since the two of you aren't convinced, then let's fight. However, this battle was a spar and no one was allowed to kill. Yes, Lin Xian and Jia Ruochen cupped their fists. Then the two of them stood facing each other. Jia Wuqing and Li Ruolin retreated. The surrounding people also retreated, giving them enough distance. A fierce battle was about to begin. Long Ao snorted. Brat, you want to fight with me? You really don't know what's good for you. Although I can't kill you now, I will ruthlessly trample you under my feet. I will show you the difference between the two of us. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. If he defeated Lin Xian at this time, it would mean that Dragon Palace would be completely trampled underfoot. From now on, the other party would never be able to make a comeback. Lin Xian smiled. You're overconfident. You'll be the one in despair. What's more, when I fought against the Dragon Palace, my target was the Dragon Prince from the beginning, not you. Hearing this, Long Ao's face darkened. Was he being ignored? As he spoke, he struck out with his palm. It was the Great Rock Seal. A great rock appeared between heaven and earth, with an aura that could tear everything apart. Long Ao's face was cold. He waved his fist again, and the giant dragon roared. The terrifying dragon fist struck out. At the same time, the giant dragon wings on the back of the giant dragon were constantly rising and falling. It was like a heavenly blade slashing towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He kept using the Man-Ruler Seal, Rock Seal, Treasure Mountain Seal to contend with the other party. It was as if two worlds were fighting. The sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Then Lin Xian punched out. Six-Path Fist. This punch was indomitable, able to destroy everything. Not good. Seeing this, Long Ao's pupils shrank. He felt a fatal crisis. The other party was actually able to threaten him. It was unforgivable. Dragon Roar. His roar shook heaven and earth. The terrifying dragon roar swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone's blood was boiling. Those who were weaker were bleeding from their 7 orifices. Some even had cracks on their bodies. Not good. It was too scary. The Levitation Saint waved his hands. Countless petals danced between heaven and earth, forming a boundary that covered the front. At the same time, the Yi family and the Thousand Dragon Court also took action. The 3 top experts worked together to seal the entire square to prevent the power from spreading. What was happening at the front? Many people widened their eyes. Even though they were so far away, they were still injured. Would Lin Xian, who was the first to bear the brunt of the impact, be affected as well? Chapter 4895. That kid was definitely dead. Seeing this scene, the people of Dragon Palace laughed. The people of Divine Union were also nervous. This was not an ordinary sound, but a dragon's roar. It contained endless dragon blood. Could Lin Xian block it? They were worried. However, they soon laughed because Lin Xian broke the heaven and earth with a single punch. Then he walked out aggressively. He stomped his foot and used the celestial walk to kill like a god. Do you think I'm afraid of you in close combat? Long Ao snorted. So what if the other party had the nine-yang divine body? He also had the ancient desolate body. Boom. The two collided in close combat. Every blow was like 100,000 mountains bombarding between heaven and earth. Thousands of cracks appeared. The people below were shocked. Indeed, their physiques were evenly matched. Yi Wudao looked at this scene and narrowed his eyes. The dark red divine dragon also gritted his teeth. Damn it, this guy's physique was indeed extraordinary. Even he could feel a trace of threat from it. Among the dragons, there were very few people who could suppress Long Ao in terms of bloodline, except for the Dragon Prince. Useless kid, I'll split your nine-yang divine body today. Long Ao roared to the sky and soared into the sky. The giant dragon phantom wings on his back drooped down again, like a peerless divine blade slashing down. Lin Xian sneered and stretched out his right arm. His right arm turned into a peerless divine sword. The sword rule swept across heaven and earth. This sword could split the sky. Boom. The collision between the divine blade and the divine sword made everyone's scalp tingle again. However, there seemed to be a change this time. The peerless divine saber formed by the giant dragon illusion was shattered by Lin Xian's attack, and a huge crack appeared. Then it was cut in half. Long Ao retreated. His arm split open and dragon blood dripped from the sky. Long Ao was injured. Countless people exclaimed. This was impossible. The people of Dragon Palace were shocked. Even the people of Thousand Dragon Court were shocked. This kid's physique was actually so strong? Even the ancient desolate body was no match for the other party? Long Ao's expression changed drastically. He felt that his entire arm could not exert any strength. The strength of the other party's physique was really beyond his expectations. Damn it! Dragon energy slash. He spat out a terrifying dragon chi, which turned into a peerless radiance and slashed out. This was no ordinary dragon-containing chi. She had been cultivating it with dragon blood in her body. It was extremely terrifying. It was a peerless killing move. The power of this attack was not inferior to that of the great sage's weapon. Boom. Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the other party to have such an ultimate move. He used the skywalk step and quickly dodged. However, this attack still managed to envelop him. With a kacha sound, he coughed out blood and flew outwards, golden holy blood flowing out from his body. His body was shattered, and a large crack appeared. Even his internal organs could be seen. Oh no, Lin Xian was also injured. Countless people cried out in alarm once again. The people of the Divine Union were nervous, but the people of the Dragon Palace were clenching their fists. Great Crown Prince, kill him. Long Ao sneered. He was injured in one arm, but the other party was even more seriously injured. His body was almost split in half. At the thought of this, he sneered. With a sway of his body, he charged forward quickly. Now that Lin Xian was injured, he wanted to kill the other party directly. At the very least, he wanted the other party to be seriously injured for a few hundred years. Seeing this, everyone's scalp went numb. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty laughed. The outcome seemed to have been decided. Indeed, a dragon was a dragon, and a worm was a worm. It was impossible to surpass them. The purple-robed elder also sneered. In the eyes of these elders, there was no surprise in this battle. The levitation saint was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be defeated so quickly. Could there really be a gap between them? On the other side, the Yi family's divine general and the other family leaders all frowned. It seemed like the crown prince was superior. Was this really all his strength? Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flickered. He didn't think so. He thought highly of Lin Xian. Kid, what are you going to use to fight me? Long Ao had already arrived before Lin Xian, his eyes filled with killing intent. My bloodline, my identity, and my background aren't something you can deal with. I can crush you to death with one hand. You're lucky to have so many people protecting you. Otherwise, you'd be dead by now. Even so, I'll severely injure you and cripple you. His eyes were filled with extremely cold killing intent. At the same time, his face was also pale. He didn't use the dragon chi slash. He had cultivated 2 slashes of the dragon chi slash in his body. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. This slash was already enough to injure him. His opponent didn't need to waste the last one. He was prepared to crush Long Ao with his own hands. He raised his palm and released a terrifying aura before slamming it down mercilessly. Go to hell. Even the great sage would be torn apart by this attack. It's over. Many of the old family leaders shook their heads and sighed. Everyone thought that this battle was over. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with a sharp light. To be honest, the dragon chi slash did threaten him and hurt him. But so what? The moment he was hurt, he used the immortality art to heal his injuries. In addition, his divine body was also dazzling in the starry sky. This injury was nothing. Seeing Long Ao rush in front of him, Lin Xian sneered. He waved his 2 arms and turned them into 2 peerless divine swords as he charged forward. Slash. Lin Xian was like a peerless war god. His terrifying sword chi was invincible. It pierced through Long Ao's palm in an instant. How was this possible? Why was this sword chi so sharp? Long Ao was stunned. This had completely surpassed the power of the 9 Suns body. How could he know that other than the 9 Suns divine body? Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword spirit in his body. When this sword technique was used, it was truly tearing the sky and splitting the earth. He was careless. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The speed of this sword was beyond his imagination. In an instant, Lin Xian's arms enveloped him. Boom! Boom! His arms were like divine swords as they pierced into Long Ao's body. His internal organs were completely shattered. Then Lin Xian's arms shook and sword chi exploded. Long Ao's body was torn apart by this attack. Heavens, how was this possible? What did I just see? The surrounding spectators were stunned. The patriarchs and clansmen all stood up. The patriarchs of the Blue Clan and Wind Dragons were scared silly as they sat there in a daze. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Court suddenly stood up and shouted angrily. This was impossible. Dragon slaying. Long Ao was torn into pieces. The huge dragon phantom in the sky was also torn into pieces. Dragon blood roared between heaven and earth, sprinkling down from heaven and earth. This scene was too spectacular. Ha 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 ha, well done. The dark red divine dragon roared, and the toad also cheered. Who said that we were inferior to dragons? He actually did it. Bai Susu and the others were shocked. Elder Hai Yuan's lips curled into a smile. Little guy, you really didn't disappoint me. He felt more and more that Lin Xian was that person. You want to kill me? You can't do it. Lin Xian stood in the sky filled with dragon blood like a demon god. Chapter 4896. Between heaven and earth, dragon blood splattered, piercing through the 9 heavens. Long Ao roared crazily. His soul became sinister and distorted. Damn it, you dare to hurt me. I want you to die. I want you to go to hell, never to rise again. The killing intent on his body continued to erupt. At the same time, dragon blood condensed and restored his body. Kill. Long Ao's body had recovered, but there were some cracks that could not be completely healed. This shocked him, but he couldn't care less. Right now he had to kill the other party, to relieve the hatred in her heart. Buzz. At this moment, Long Ao's body transformed into a 100-feet-long sea dragon. His blue scales illuminated the world. With a raise of his hand, he summoned clouds and rain. He was originally the son of the Dragon Sea Lord, and had a powerful bloodline. Previously, he had transformed into a human form. At this moment, he was completely enraged and transformed into his original form. Kill, kill, kill. The dragon claws waved and the dragon tail swept across heaven and earth. Long Hai's power erupted. A terrifying aura swept across heaven and earth. At the same time, he unleashed another world-destroying attack. Dragon Chi Slash. It spat out a terrifying attack. Previously, it was this attack that injured Lin Xian, and even split open Lin Xian's body. This time, it came out again. Facing the storm-like attacks, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He didn't dodge at all. He was completely fighting with force. At the same time, he condensed a Taiji diagram to face the dragon chi slash. Hugging with both hands, the Taiji diagram rotated in his hands, using softness to overcome hardness. The dragon chi slash struck the Taiji diagram. However, it was completely enveloped by the rotating power, and was unable to tear the Taiji diagram apart. In the end, it dissipated into the Taiji diagram. Even the dragon chi slash couldn't hurt Lin Xian. Countless people were shocked. Taiji slash. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the Taiji diagram rotated and drew a sharp bolt of lightning, directly slashing forward. Pooh! Long Ao roared. Its tail was split open and fell down. Dragon blood once again dyed the 9 heavens red. Damn it! He was really angry. His huge body transformed into human form again, and then he attacked again. Dragon Rain 9 Heavens. Wrath of the Sea God. Dragon's Kill. Long Ao began to use the dragon's great divine ability. Terrifying rain fell between heaven and earth. This was no ordinary rainwater. Every drop contained the laws of the Tao of the dragon. Tens of millions of droplets were enough to obliterate everything. Even a great sage would be destroyed in body and soul if he were to be enveloped by the dragon rain. The wrath of the sea god caused the surrounding sea to fill with water. His opponent had truly transformed into the dragon sea god. The dragon slay was even more terrifying. His dragon claw carried the aura of a fiend god. It spun rapidly and tore apart the void, aiming for Lin Xian's heart and head. Each of the 3 ultimate techniques was enough to strike fear into the hearts of the great sage. The older generation experts and the patriarch felt their blood run cold. Lin Xian took a deep breath in the face of these 3 terrifying ultimate techniques. Sword come. Behind him, the phantom of a sword dragon appeared and roared towards the sky. The dragon scales on his body rose from the ground and made a clanging sound in the sky. They quickly combined to form a dragon sword. Lin Xian grabbed it. He soared into the air and fought against the 9 heavens. Zhanlong. The sword formed from the dragon scales slashed down from the sky. Everywhere it passed, everything turned to dust. This sword was just too strong. The 3 dragons' ultimate techniques were all turned to dust under this sword. Before the sword arrived, many cracks appeared on Long Ao's body like a spider. Damn. He wanted to take it head-on, but he was terrified and he couldn't help but retreat. He was actually scared off by Lin Fan. That was just too embarrassing. But facing this sword, he was finally terrified. Saving his life was more important. He retreated quickly, but it was too late. This sword covered him. No. His body split apart once more and he was sliced into 2. Moreover, this sword had a cold aura that could destroy everything. Was he going to die? He didn't dare to believe it. What kind of sword technique was that? One of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty experts' pupils constricted, and he hollered coldly. A great sage instantly attacked and shattered the sword energy. It turned into dragon scales and disappeared from the world. You actually dare to kill me? This expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty stood in the air and stared coldly at Lin Xian. The sword dragon illusion behind Lin Xian disappeared. He laughed. You think too much. There are so many experts here. Even the old ancestor is here. What kind of assassin can kill him? Even if you don't attack, this sword will disappear. Lin Xian was right. It was too difficult to kill the other party here. Furthermore, he didn't intend to do so. Defeating the other party in this battle was already a slap to the other party's face. How could the Dragon Palace compete with the Divine Union in the future? Long Ao, you keep saying that you will trample me under your feet. Have you done it? Reality has proven that you are just a clown. In the future, you won't have any right to be arrogant in front of me. Disappear from my sight. Otherwise, you will end up in a miserable state. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a terrifying light as he spoke. Long Ao's blood was boiling and his soul was shaking. Not good. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty shouted angrily. How dare you destroy his Tao heart? A cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian sneered. Is he worse than me? If he can't even accept defeat, what right does he have to take another step forward? You, young man, don't be too arrogant. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty looked gloomy. The purple dress elder and the others were also gnashing their teeth. The others were in an uproar. The outcome of this battle was really unexpected. No one had expected that the powerful dragon prince would be defeated by Lin Xian. Moreover, he had been defeated so miserably. How could this be? The people from the dragon palace were crying. Their godlike figure had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by his opponent. Lan Ziyu also knelt on the ground, her body trembling. She didn't even have the strength to stand up now. Her biggest support had been the dragon prince. However, reality had proven that even the dragon prince couldn't defeat Lin Xian. How could she take revenge in the future? The morale of the people from the Divine Union soared. This was great. Boss Lin was mighty. Young Master Lin was the best in the world. He was indeed the legendary Lin Wudi. Voices rang out one after another. The people from the Yi family were shocked. The eyes of the Yi family elders were also shining. Besides having the 9-yang divine body, Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword soul. In the future, this young man would definitely compete with the emperor's son. They were very confident in their Yi Wu Dao. Yi Wu Dao had a sacred body and cultivated the emperor's scripture. He would definitely be able to compete with the disciples in the future. In their opinion, Lin Xian might be a little lacking. However, they had changed their minds. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, which seemed to be able to make up for the lack of the emperor's scripture. This guy is so powerful. Didn't you say that he participated in the Holy Gulf list? Why haven't I seen his name before? Big Brother Yin was shocked. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes shone sharply. This could only mean one thing. He didn't use his real name. He used his title. It seemed like it was him. Divine General Hai Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 4897. The outcome of this battle shocked everyone. At the same time, many people were discussing it. Would the fantasy world patriarch change his mind? Previously, the patriarch had chosen Long Ao as his disciple. Now that Long Ao had been defeated, would the patriarch still accept him as a disciple according to the previous agreement? In an instant, everyone looked in that direction. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court also frowned. The purple-clothed elder and the others were even more nervous. They were talking about the patriarch. The fantasy world patriarch's eyes flickered, and an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his eyes. He looked at Lin Xian and Long Ao below and thought for a moment before speaking coldly. He first looked at Lin Xian and said, "Young man, you're not bad. You have to walk your own path in the future." Then he looked at Long Ao. Failure was not scary. What was scary was having one's heart broken. After the banquet, follow me to the core area to cultivate. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the fantasy world patriarch to not change his mind. Could it be that the person in the immortal graveyard was really a curse that couldn't be broken? Long Ao was also shocked. He originally thought that he had no hope. However, now it seemed that there was still hope. He hurriedly said respectfully, "Yes, patriarch. I definitely won't lose again." He turned to look at Lin Xian. "Losing to you this time was an accident. Just you wait. The next time I meet you, I will personally take revenge." With that, he walked forward. What else did the levitation saint want to say? However, the patriarch waved his hand to stop him. He could only sigh and hope that Lin Xian could accept this result. Lin Wan also turned and left. On the way back, he received countless questioning gazes. However, his expression remained calm. So what if he didn't enter the core area? To be honest, he really didn't want to enter because the fantasy world patriarch's gaze was too terrifying. If he stayed by the fantasy world patriarch's side, his secret might be discovered. That would be troublesome. After returning, the people from the Divine Union were also nervous. They were afraid that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to hold on. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm fine." Bai Susu said, "Kid, I know you're unhappy but we'll understand." Lin Xian shook his head and smiled. He looked around and said, "Most of you are geniuses from large clans and have enjoyed all kinds of golden spoils since birth. You will be respected and receive all kinds of resources. You will even be able to reach out, and those natural treasures will come to you. But I'm different from you. I rose to power in the dusty lands, and everything along the way was exchanged with my life. Throughout my journey, I have never cowered. Along the way, I have been looked down upon by countless people, but I've won again and again. I've walked from the dust to the present. I believe that I can go on. So what if the person in the immortal burial ground was a curse? I don't want to walk the path of immortals. I want to walk my own path. Lin Xian's voice was firm and resolute. The people from the Divine Union were shocked. They hadn't expected Lin Xian to have such an experience. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Their families all had some worlds as subsidiary resources. The people in those worlds were like ants in their eyes. It was basically impossible for him to grow to the same height as them, not to mention standing in front of them and leading them. However, Lin Xian had come from such a place. How many hardships and setbacks had he experienced? Just thinking about it made their scalps go numb. At the same time, they also heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian had experienced too much, so this blow wouldn't be a problem at all. Big brother Lin, we believe in you. Yes, young master will lead us all the way. The people from the Divine Union clenched their fists. Lin Xian also smiled. Good. You believe in me, and I believe in you. I will lead you all to the top of the world. Lin Xian turned around and faced the 9 heavens. I won't lose. Then he turned to the people beside him and smiled. I hope that the disciples of the Divine Union will never admit defeat. His voice became louder and louder, piercing through the 9 heavens and spreading across the land. At that moment, the souls of the surrounding sages trembled as they turned to look at him. What kind of bold and visionary words were these? Yi Wudao smiled. It seemed like his old friend wasn't affected at all. The 2 battle gods also nodded in satisfaction. The levitation saint also heaved a sigh of relief. On the side of the dragon palace, they frowned. The people from the 1000 Dragon Dynasty had killing intent in their eyes. This guy didn't shrink back after such a blow. Instead, he became even stronger. This person had to be eliminated quickly. Advance courageously and never admit defeat. The old ancestor whispered as his eyes flickered. Long Ao, who was beside him, was nervous. He said, Old ancestor, please believe in me. I won't lose again next time. I will defeat him. The fantasy world ancestor waved his sleeves and left with Long Ao. The banquet also ended. Long Ao arrived at the core area and felt the terrifying power inside. He took a deep breath. The fantasy world ancestor brought him to a pagoda and said, This place is filled with resources. There are endless resources and power here. You can cultivate here. Thank you, old ancestor. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Long Ao was excited while the fantasy world ancestor stood with his hands behind his back. Let's hope so. Your talent is unparalleled, but you are too arrogant and need to be tempered. Previously, when the Dragon Prince came to find me, he mentioned you and told me to accept you as my disciple. Now that I've observed you, you are indeed not bad. Cultivate well and don't let me and the Dragon Prince down. So it was the Dragon Prince's suggestion. Long Ao clenched his fists. If it wasn't for the Dragon Prince, the disciple this time would have been Lin Xian. He took a deep breath. Although he had also become the Crown Prince, he and the Dragon Prince were not even comparable to each other. This gap had once made him despair. However, later on he swore that one day he would catch up with the Dragon Prince and make this gap smaller and smaller. As for that, Lin Xian, just you wait. With the resources of the core area, my cultivation speed will be faster than before. When the time comes, you will die without a doubt. He would definitely get his revenge for what had happened today. On the other side, the guests also left one after another. The news of this banquet would spread all over the world. The people of the 1000 Dragon Court had cold expressions. Although there were twists and turns, the final result was satisfactory. Long Ao had become the old ancestor's disciple. It seemed like they had to go back and discuss how to get rid of Lin Xian. At the thought of this, they also left. The people of the Divine Union also returned to their spiritual abodes to cultivate. The result of this battle was that more and more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The strength that Lin Xian had displayed was too strong. He had already surpassed the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's last sentence of never giving up and moving forward courageously gave them endless hope. These people were eager to join. For a moment, Bai Susu and the others were all smiling. Chapter 48-98. Divine General Haiyuan stared at Lin Xian nonstop, which shocked Lin Xian. Could it be that this Divine General had discovered his secret? He asked, "Seniors, why are you looking for me?" Divine General Yunge said, "We're actually here to look for Mad God. However, we can't see him. Your relationship with Mad God shouldn't be ordinary, right? Tell Mad God to hurry to the Sacred Abyss Tower. We need his help with something." "Oh, what is it?" Lin Xian was surprised. Divine General Yunge said, "You won't know even if I tell you. Kid, you'll know when you reach Mad God's level." Divine General Haiyuan also patted Lin Xian's shoulder. "I have high hopes for you. Maybe you'll know soon." He revealed a meaningful smile. Lin Xian felt more and more that they must have discovered his identity, but they didn't say anything. It was obvious that they were on his side to help him. Therefore he nodded. "I understand what you two seniors mean. I'll send a message now. He should be there in a few days." The two divine generals left Lin Xian and returned to the divine abode to organize some things. This time more than 200 people joined. Lin Xian saw these people and encouraged them to cultivate well. He left the rest to Bai Susu, Hong Yi, and the dark red divine dragon. He consolidated his cultivation and adjusted his state to its peak. Then, he went to the Sacred Abyss Tower and covered his body with demonic qi. Lin Xian once again turned into the demonic Mad God and arrived at the Sacred Abyss Tower. He appeared again. Countless people exclaimed, "Look, it's Mad God. He's here again." They heard that he killed many Dragon Palace experts at the Dao Sect's Sacred Assembly. He even provoked them. Dragon Palace was so angry that they vomited blood. They didn't expect him to appear so soon. He's not afraid of being hunted down by Dragon Palace experts. Dragon Palace is no match for him. Someone laughed. Someone shook their head. Don't forget that Dragon Palace is backed by the Thousand Dragon Court. They'll definitely send experts to hunt him down. While everyone was discussing amongst themselves, Lin Xian had already entered the Sacred Abyss Tower. He came to a large hall in the Sacred Gulf Tower, where several figures were waiting. Lin Xian had seen two of them before. They were Divine General Haiyuan and Divine General Brother Yin. The others were also thinking about the immortal generals. When they saw the demon-like figure behind them, they all raised the corners of their mouths into smiles. "You're finally here." Lin Xian cupped his fists and looked around. Then he walked over. He looked a little arrogant, but he didn't care. Mad God had to be arrogant. Otherwise he wouldn't live up to his name. The other immortal generals had also heard of his deeds, so they didn't care about his attitude. It was fine as long as the other party was strong. "Big Brother Yin, the Divine General is gone. Come here." "Speaking of Mad God, you're here." Divine General Ocean Abyss smiled as well. Lin Xian said, "I received news that you are all looking for me. I don't know why." "It's a good thing." Divine General Haiyuan said that we're going to a very mysterious place, so we need your help. Lin Xian was shocked. "What place? If even the immortal generals can't do it, I'm afraid I can't do anything." Indeed, although Lin Xian was strong, these immortal generals were even scarier. Divine General Brother Yin said that it's not like that. "This time, we're exploring ancient ruins. It's very mysterious. Some places have cultivation restrictions. Therefore, we can't do anything in that place. We can only ask experts like you for help." Lin Xian was able to enter the Saint Origin Board, which meant that he was at most in the early stage of the Great Sage. Therefore, this level of cultivation could be put to good use in certain situations. And these immortal generals' cultivation had long surpassed the early stage of the Great Sage. Therefore, they couldn't do anything in some places. Lin Xian nodded. He understood. He wondered what kind of secret realm could pique the interest of these divine generals. It's definitely not an ordinary ruin. Divine General Brother Yin smiled. Do you know about the heavenly court? Lin Xian was shocked. Of course he knew. Could this ruin be related to the heavenly court? That's right. Kid, you guessed right. It's indeed related to the heavenly court. It's a ruin of the heavenly court. And it was only discovered recently. Therefore, the news hasn't spread too far. We have to hurry. Lin Xian was shocked. Was it really a ruin of the heavenly court? I wonder if Black Mountain will appear? In the last heavenly court ruin, Black Mountain had obtained the sky lantern, and Lin Xian had obtained the heaven-swallowing jar. Later, he found out that it was only half of the heaven-swallowing jar. He still lacked a lid. He wondered if he could find that lid this time. If he really found it, it would be a complete heaven-swallowing jar, an extreme Tao. Even if he couldn't find it, it would be great if he could obtain some of the ultimate techniques of the heavenly court. Therefore, Lin Xian was very interested. He said that since this was the case, there was no time to lose. Let's begin. Divine General Brother Yin smiled. There's no hurry. There are still some people. Lin Xian waited. Indeed, it didn't take long for more people to arrive. The first to arrive were two people. One was dressed in green, the other in purple. Both of them were extremely beautiful. They had swords on their backs. According to the introduction, Lin Xian knew that these two beautiful women were called Qing Hong and Zi Hong. These two weren't ordinary people. They were famous. They were known as the Purple and Green Twin Swords. Their names were in the top 1,000 of the Saint Origin leaderboard. Their ranking was much higher than his. After these two, another person came. It was a man with snow-white hair. It danced in the wind, and its eyes were actually white as well, making it look extremely mysterious. A technique? Lin Xian was shocked. His eyes flickered with a golden radiance. The purple and green twin swords also had serious expressions. They knew this person. In fact, his ranking was higher than theirs. Of course, they were confident that they could defeat him with their twin swords combination. This person was called Yan Ling. His ultimate move was execution of words. It was very terrifying. Now that everyone was here, Divine General Hai Yuan smiled. The few of them looked at Lin Xian. Qing Hong said, "You must be that mad god. I wonder how strong you are. Do you want to experience it?" Lin Xian looked at her and smiled. Qing Hong stepped forward and sword chi exploded. She couldn't ask for more. "Sister, please be quiet for a while." Zi Hong walked over and said. Then she looked at Lin Xian. "Mad god, I'm sorry. My sister's temper is like that." "No worries." Lin Xian nodded. Beside him, Yin Yanling smiled. Qing Hong turned her head. Her eyes were shining. "What are you laughing at? Are you doubting my strength?" Yanling shook her head. She had heard of the angry fairy's name. Today, she was indeed worthy of her reputation. Qing Hong was furious. "Whoever dares to talk nonsense outside, I'll kill him." Lin Xian also shook his head. This girl was indeed crazy. While Lin Xian was joking, another group of people walked out of the hall. Chapter 48-99. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others turned around. In the next moment, they saw a divine general walking over. Behind him, there were also three figures. "Greetings, divine general." Qing Hong and the others cupped their fists and bowed. The three figures on the opposite side also bowed. Then their gazes clashed in the air. Terrifying thunderbolts burst out, tearing the void apart. Divine General Hai Yuan frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. Lin Xian was surprised. He stared at the figure in front of him. It was a woman with an extremely beautiful face. She was even more beautiful than Qing Hong and Zi Hong. Not only that, but she also exuded a biting cold aura. She was like an ice goddess that kept people thousands of miles away. Qing Hong and Zi Hong were also sizing her up. Then they said, "So beautiful." Qing Hong snorted, and Zi Hong's eyes sparkled. The ice mountain fairy in front glanced at them expressionlessly. However, when she saw Lin Xian, her body trembled and her pupils constricted. Something unbelievable seemed to have happened. Lin Xian looked at her and smiled. "How should I address this fairy?" He walked forward. There were two other figures beside the ice mountain fairy. One of them was wearing a black robe, and had a pair of black wings on his back. He seemed to be standing in the dark and looked very mysterious. The other person beside him had a terrifying aura. It was as if his every move could split the sky and earth. This guy is really bold. Yanling chuckled. However, Qing Hong snorted. He would be in trouble. He knew that the Ice Mountain Fairy in front of him had also just challenged the Holy Gulf list not long ago. More importantly, she was indeed very cold. No matter who it was, she would ignore them and was known as the Ice Mountain. If Mad God went to greet her, he would definitely be rejected and might even be beaten up. The Dark Shadow expert frowned and sneered. Kid, get lost. This is not a place for you. The other man with a terrifying aura also snorted and stared at Lin Xian. They had already seen the Ice Mountain Fairy. How could they let others come before they even got their hands on her? Lin Xian glanced at Dark Shadow and sneered. I'm talking to the Ice Mountain Fairy. It's none of your business. Get lost. What did you say? That person was enraged. He took a step forward and spread out the wings on his back. His body emitted a monstrous dragon aura. His name was Shadow, and he was a member of the Shadow Dragon clan. The man with the terrifying aura beside him also turned solemn. His body also emitted the aura of the Tao of Dragon. The two sides looked like they were about to fight, but at that moment, footsteps could be heard from afar. A woman wearing divine general armor quickly walked over. Beside it, similarly, 3 figures appeared. Everyone is here. The divine general Wind Snow said with a smile as he looked around. You're a little late. Divine General Yin Gu said. Divine General Qian Cheng also snorted coldly. Since everyone was here, let's begin. Start what? Everyone was stunned. Divine General Qian Chen, who was the second to enter, said, there are too many people. Let's eliminate one. Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and the others' expressions changed when they heard this. The Shadow Dragon and the other expert with a terrifying aura revealed sinister grins. They all stared at Lin Xian, but soon, they couldn't laugh anymore. Because Lin Xian was already chatting with the Ice Mountain Goddess. The Ice Mountain Goddess even showed a beautiful smile to Lin Xian. How was that possible? Shadow went crazy. Her title of Ice Mountain Goddess was not fake. She didn't care about any top geniuses. Why would she smile at this kid in front of him? In addition, Qing Hong, Yin Ling, and the others were also stunned. Even the 3 new top geniuses were surprised. They all stared at Lin Xian. Is this guy an expert of the Demon Tao? Who is he? Wind Snow also smiled. Let's introduce him. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 figures beside him stood out. One of them had a surging aura, and was full of heroism. He also had a pair of wings on his back. He said loudly, Peng Wanli of the Tianpeng clan. Next to him was a person with a cold expression. His voice also had a trace of piercing coldness, like a knife. His name was He Jiuxiao. The last person was a little strange. He sat on the back of a goldfish, and was dozing off with his chin in his hand. Hearing Divine General Wind Snow's words, he opened his eyes and said, Xiao Xiao, you're right. Xiao Zhuang. After saying that, he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. After these 3 people were introduced, Qing Hong and the other 2 also stood out and said their names. Shadow then walked out. Another man with a strong aura also walked out. He was called Zhu Lai. He was an expert of the Torch Dragon clan. The Ice Mountain Goddess looked around and said coldly, Xueqi. That's right. This woman was Xueqi. She was the woman Lin Xian met in the Thousand Mountain Cave. Later, with Lin Xian's help, she obtained the 9 divine body. Later, after Lin Xian left, Xueqi also went out to train. There had been no news of her since then. They didn't expect her to come here and enter the Holy Gulf Tower. The others were thinking and sizing each other up. They found that these people were all top experts. Moreover, they had a special characteristic. They were ranked in the top 1,000 of the Saint Origin board. However, they were not ranked above 800. The highest ranking was the sleeping Xiao Zhuang, who was currently ranked 810. As for the last one, they all stared at Lin Xian. Shadow said coldly, Kid, tell me your name. Lin Xian glanced at him and said coldly, Mad God. So he was the Mad God. Many people were surprised by this name. It was a name that resounded like thunder in their ears. However, it was their first time seeing him. Zhulai snorted. So, you're the mad god. You're only ranked in the top 1,000. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of me? Although Lin Xian had reached the top 1,000 3 times, these people were all ranked in the top 1,000. Therefore, when they faced Lin Xian, they looked down on him. Lin Xian didn't care. Firstly, he didn't participate in the challenge many times. Secondly, the top 1,000 wasn't his limit. He didn't use the heaven-devouring jar or the great dragon sword spirit. Otherwise, he would have to use his name first. Lin Xian frowned. He found that other than Ning and Zhulai, there was another person who was hostile to him. There was even killing intent. Although it was hidden deep, Lin Xian's eye technique was amazing. He found out in an instant. He turned his head and looked, and his frown deepened. He found that the person who wanted to kill him was a divine general. It was Divine General Qian Qin. Mad God, come over first. Divine General Hai Yuan said. Lin Xian smiled at Xueqi. They would talk later. Then he turned and left. He had already recognized the other party. Xueqi also recognized him. Their physiques were too godly. One had the 9-yang divine physique, and the other had the 9-yin divine physique. They were the opposite of heaven and earth. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.